Welcome to America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Good to be with you. Our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Good to be with you. Thanks for spending part of your Friday afternoon with us. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. We're going to bring you the latter half of this card here in South Ozone Park, New York. And we have a big weekend again on the road to that first Saturday in May coming up.
Yeah, we're at that time of the year where every weekend's going to bring Triple Crown preps around the country and try to narrow it down. Right now, what is an absolutely wide open Kentucky Derby. And the same could probably be said for the Kentucky Oaks. Maybe Brad Cox a pretty strong hand there. But things are going to start to get interesting.
Yeah, and that bad weather forced the cancellation of yesterday's card at Oaklawn. They are back running this afternoon. That Thursday card, again, in case you did not know, moved to Monday. But we'll be checking in with the MIG in just a little bit, live from Hot Springs with more from Oaklawn Park. Here's what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 5 through 8 here in New York. We are fast with the late pick 4 coming up in just about 7 minutes. And then out at Oaklawn, they are listed as good in Hot Springs. Races 4 through 10 to come, including race 6 to kick off the late pick 5. You can play it all by getting signed up, started with NYRA Bets. There's the offer, that $200 deposit match new customer bonus. Bonus code 200 for new members at sign up. And bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Again, right there at NYRABets.com. All right, so we're going to kick things off here in New York with a 5th from Aqueduct, 1 turn mile, $10,000 claiming race. And currently it is this outside runner, Andy, Laughter, Rob Atras, favored. It was just 4th at this level last start.
Yeah, I guess this is one of those races where you can say, well, it's not how good you are, it's how good you are relative to your field. And with 3 scratches and 7 entered, including a horse who would have been heavily favored, I would guess, and Find Your Joy, there's a lot of question marks in here, and particularly distance. Horses like the 2 Everly's Girl and the 7 Laughter, these are horses that have no real experience going long, and you just don't really know what's going to happen in this race. That's why you're looking at a board where there isn't a lot of separation. I like Wait, Don't Tell Me, who's my top choice in this race, mostly because she's dropping and she has run some races going longer that are competitive. But really, you're sort of finding the least of the evils.
Yeah, 3-2 is a bit of a short price to take on a 6-year-old mare who's making her 22nd career start and has never gone beyond, I believe, 6.5 furlongs.
I agree. And, I assume that with Manny Franco sort of riding aggressively that she'll be able to clear the 2 Everly's Girl, though that's not an absolute cinch. But with Manny, it's probably true. But why do we think that this horse, who's really gone badly off form, claimed by Rob Atras, moved to Rob Atras 2 starts ago, not claimed by him, but her form really hasn't been good. Why are we supposed to assume that she's going to get a mile even if she gets to the front end here, Greg?
Short price to take, yeah, if you're assuming that is going to happen.
Also, when you have a small field, I sometimes think in these small fields that the pace advantage is lessened because the fields are always just naturally much tighter.
And for some reason, more traffic, happens in short fields. It shouldn't be the case, but it is.
You just don't get
Everybody
the same...
knows where everyone is.
You don't get the same separation either.
Everly's Girl went by. Here's a 3. Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Yeah, I just thought she's run okay out of town, and she's dropping a little bit. Faced a much tougher field last time, but she has trouble getting out of the gate.
Raw Power 6 times has been a runner-up, including last start.
I mean, at least she's competed in races going longer. That's the best I can say about her.
And then Laughter, again, 8-5. Favorite, Rob Atras.
Maybe she is going to clear the lead. She has back class. But then again, she's also been running in $5,000 claiming races up at Finger Lakes. Tough for me to take this horse at a short price, the old Harvey Packism, never bet a horse trying to do something it's never done before, as the favorite.
Rules out a lot of bets.
I think a lot of losing bets would have been.
That's true. Download free Equibase past performances. Go to NYRA.com/TV schedule. Get all the stats of the horses, trainers, jockeys for the races we're bringing you on today's program. 4 minutes to post. 5th coming up. It kicks off this pick 4. And Maggie, can this sprinter going this distance for the first time as a short price favorite get the distance?
Yeah, my gut instinct by just knowing horses and what they look like physically and how it translates to getting distances, I would say no. Laughter does not look like she can totally handle the distance. And as one can imagine, Rob Atras looking to, preferring to run Find Your Joy, one of the two that he had entered in this race, but unfortunately she won't play today. So he's left with Laughter as a heavy, heavy favorite in here. But she is a daughter of Looking at Lucky out of a Langfier mare, so there's some pedigree to say she can handle it. Now, Manny Franco has not gotten her out of a jog, and whether that speaks to conserving energy because they are trying to get this longer distance for the first time, or does it say that they're not going to go the lead? I don't know. But like I said, she has not gotten out of a jog for what is a abbreviated warm up here on these cooler days with, it's not raining, it's literally just misting. So the track is fast and in great condition. But again, it's just winter and what we do with our post parades here. Now on the flip side, she by far looks best in this field. Well muscled, well conditioned, just exuding health, where that's not the things that some of these other horses possess. But I will look to her inside and try to upset her here with number 6. That's Raw Power, just because, as Andy said, she has the races going longer. And I thought her last race, a step in the right direction at least, one that that was last time. I noted that didn't look great in her coat, looks a little bit better overall, is getting there, and she's just really energetic, really forward, all the things you like to see with a horse about to go out there and run a race. So she's built for one, as her form would suggest, that this distance is not a problem. So like I said, Greg, I respect Laughter as a favorite, but I'm going to heed the old Harvey Packism that I don't want to take a short price on a horse trying something new for the first time.
So 3-2, Public's going to try and buck that trend here, see what happens as we take a look at Raw Power. Katie Davis, Rachel Sells team up, getting 5-2.
It's a race, if you're having a handicapping discussion about, which we're all sort of trying to do here, where you're going to be making some things up in a sense, because there just isn't that much to say about it, because there's nobody in here that's doing anything that's going, wow, I really like this horse because. It's more like because I think she's the least, that she's better than some other horses I wouldn't bet on. Now, the 3 just went from 5-2 to 2-1 to 8-5, and while she is my pick, and I would not bet anybody against her, certainly in this field, I mean, I guess in a 4-horse field, these aren't bad prices. There's only 4 potential winners, and I do trust her more going long. She comes out of bad fields, but the problem with her is she can't get out of the gate, and the break is important. She breaks the field, and she'll probably win here, but she might compromise herself in a race that has a bit of a murky pace. But let me ask you this, Greg. If we're both a little bit suspect of Laughing getting the distance, how much does it matter that she has a tactical advantage if you just think she's not going to get that last eighth of a mile?
Again, like you said, it's getting it against this field, right, which this is not a great field. And there's major concerns, like you said. I mean, there's a much greater chance the 3 doesn't break well than she does break well, right? And how much is that going to compromise her?
No, and it does. And how much will it compromise her? Will it really matter in a mile race with a lot of horses that just can't get the distance, at least if she's getting? I mean, the truth is, Everly's Girl is a bigger price because she's coming from a barn that doesn't win at a high percentage. But the reality of her is, why isn't 2 races ago in this class, last time in this class, she ran a 61 Beyer and won. I mean, strictly on her dope, her form, she's a big contender, but she's the biggest price on the board, and that's probably because she's in a barn that just doesn't win a lot. But this is the winter. Those things matter a lot less during the winter, especially in 4-horse fields when you think the 58 might be the winning figure, winning Beyer figure.
Yeah, we'll see if any kind of gamesmanship happens here with these riders, because sometimes small fields like this, it does become a rider's race. We do often see, it seems like it would not be the case, but traffic trouble in these compact fields like this. Here is the one that needs to break well, and now becomes the favorite.
Yeah, I don't worry about that. I don't know what honestly, I don't know what I worry about in these races. Like I said, I'm not ready to take 8-5 on the 3, but I would rather take 8-5 on the 3 than the odds on anybody else here, even with the 1, probably an overlay because of the trainer.
Pick 4 starts in this 5th race, 1-turn mile, $10,000 claiming race coming up. Let's go to Chris Griffin to kick things off for us.
Goes in, all set. And they're off. Laughter from the outside draw right out to the front. It's Laughter who's quickly up by a length and a half. In between horses, Wait, Don't Tell Me. At the rail, that's Everly's Girl. And now at the back, it's going to be Raw Power. Tightly packed here as they get set to come out of the chute. And they're all chasing Laughter. Laughter is in front, doing it nicely enough. It hooks up with the backstretch, is clear by a full length. Right there in second is Wait, Don't Tell Me. And at the rail, still a tight hold here on Everly's Girl. The trailer, Raw Power, is 3 wide. At the back end of the field, 24.67 for the opening quarter mile. Laughter is in front, is only up by 3/4 of a length now. Is starting to move in closer as Wait, Don't Tell Me. Everly's Girl and Carol Cedeno has a tight hold here. Everly's Girl wants to go, but is settled right in behind Laughter, who's still in front. Raw Power still with a wide run with less than a half mile to go, and 49-1 for the half-mile time. Laughter is trying to take them all the way. Laughter tries to extend the margin just a touch, and Wait, Don't Tell Me is 2 wide. 3 wide, here comes the run from Raw Power, and still Everly's Girl, not without a shot. It's got to find more towards the inside. Now gets the cue, is going to hold the rail position in full pursuit of Laughter. Laughter trying to fend him off, now being encouraged to close the deal, has a quarter mile left to go. Everly's Girl wants out of there. Wait, Don't Tell Me. Raw Power is ready to pounce, and here comes Raw Power down the center of the racetrack. Laughter has been passed. It's Raw Power who kicks clear, is up by a full length and a half. Wait, Don't Tell Me is ranging up on the outside here, but has a 3-length margin to make on Raw Power, who's approaching a final 16th. Wait, Don't Tell Me is re-rallying, but Raw Power is almost there. Raw Power, Katie Davis, they get the victory. Wait, Don't Tell Me, then Everly's Girl, and Laughter in 1:41.1.
Raw Power, Katie Davis, Rachel Sells, and a 4th career win for this 5-year-old mare to start this late pick 4.
Well, I don't think it's a massive surprise. The 2 horses that have shown at least an ability to cover the ground at some level finished 1-2, and both the 2 and 7 just couldn't get the distance. 3 was probably uncomfortable being between horses and might have been closer had it been a sort of different dynamic, but as it turned out, the winner was best, and the 3 was second best in a field where that was enough.
And as for Laughter, setting the pace, didn't really get to open up on this field much at all, finishes last.
I don't think it would have mattered what they did with her, and I'm not picking on Manny Franco. She's not a miler, and she's not getting it in any circumstance. But, you know, these small fields, there's a tendency to sort of want to relax them on the front end. It brings the field together, and it sort of takes away any potential advantage you could have had. Didn't make any difference. Nobody was getting on this horse without a jetpack and getting a mile.
So Raw Power with a win 2-1, 6-3-2-7 finish here in race 5. Again, 4th career win and gets the first win of 2025 here in start number 2. Being told the 3 horse who did go off the favorite was claimed, headed to a new barn.
I wish them the best of luck. They're going to need it.
So Raw Power starts this late pick 4 at 2-1. We'll have these prices for you coming up. We're going to take a timeout. We'll get into Oaklawn when we come back. They're 12 minutes away from their 5th on the card. 6-furlong sprint. Check in with Richard Migliori as well, stationed out in Hot Springs for the meet. Get his thoughts on the bad weather behind us out there in Hot Springs, what we have to look forward to this weekend. Back with you on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. It's brought to you where you can play it all at Now or Bet. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Hot Springs, Arkansas, they canceled that Thursday card because of flash floods in the area. Bad weather. That card moved to Monday. Back at it this afternoon. We have race 5 coming up in just a little bit. Let's check in with Richard Migliori for more stationed out in Hot Springs for the meet. Hey, Mig.
Hey, Greg, Andy, great to be on with you guys. And I tell you what a difference a day makes. Yesterday, it was torrential downpours. It started the night before. And I've never seen it rain so hard, so steady for so long. And track superintendent and his crew did an amazing job to get this racetrack. It's labeled good now. I could see it being upgraded to fast. And if you just saw this track yesterday, I was walking around in the afternoon. I thought there might even be a possibility they wouldn't race today. So they did a phenomenal job getting it ready. And it is a spectacular day here at Oaklawn Park.
Well, that is good to hear, Mig. I know we're about 8 minutes away from this 5th race coming up this afternoon. What are we looking forward to coming up?
Well, I mean, there's obviously, again, a lot of good racing. We've got a Kenny McPeak runner that 1-for-1 at Fairgrounds, and she comes in here. And we know Kenny McPeak's not a trainer that cranks a horse up to win first time. If they win, it's because they're talented. So her name is In Awe of Juju. That's the 6th race. She gets post 1. But I think it's a pretty salty race. Just another day of full fields and good racing.
All right, Mig, thanks. We're going to get back to that 5th race in just a little bit. Condition $10,000 claiming sprint. First things first, your winner back here in New York. It's Raw Power. Katie Davis, barn of Rachel Sells, and again, 4th career win for this 5-year-old mare.
Yeah, she got a good stalking trip and found a field where only half the horses could really get the distance, and she kind of had the right trip over the runner-up, but she also ran the better race.
Speed, that's 7. Trying to do it on the front end, and apparently a mile not Laughter's game. They gave it a shot. Check the box, didn't work.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, now they know we're not going to run her at these level if she has to go long. She's not going to be competitive. She couldn't be more competitive in a race like this. You're right. They can just move on and find races that she's more suited to.
So there it is. Raw Power, $6.90 for the victory. We'll set up race 6 momentarily, but back to Oaklawn as we hone in here on race 5. 4-year-olds and up who have never won 3 or who have not won a race since August the 1st of last year. Weight allowed for varying differences there record-wise. 9-5 favorite is Permafrost. Brad Cox just claimed this one for $12,000, but we start with a 1 without objection.
Got a big scratch when the number 7 came out, not just a talent standpoint, but now this horse could be the controlling speed.
Here's the Brad Cox off the claim runner.
Yeah, it's unusual. I'm assuming that's his son that he claimed this horse for. Brad's numbers off the claim, by the way, not that good.
Corridor, Francisco Arrieta.
Looks too slow on paper. 8-1?
Yeah.
Seems a little odd.
Vulcan taking play, dropping down.
Star Trek fans jumping in? Is that
yes.
A horse that used to be in Robertino Diodoro's barn? I'm not expecting improvement.
Live long and prosper. Stomping Hot Rod, 3-time winner.
Yeah.
Dual Monarchy, Dan Ward trains.
I thought this was the horse to beat, and I can't believe this horse is 5-1. He's got to be a much lower price eventually. Seems super logical dropping.
Guided Arrow just ran 2nd for 12-5, non-winners at 3.
I think he's another contender as well. Why is he this price?
And on the outside, Express Cruiser at 6-1. Tom Amos just claimed.
I look at a stat. This horse is dropping, claim for 20,000, running for 10. Tom Amos, 50% drop off the claim on dirt. He's 9 for 20. 45% with a 225 ROI. So they're short prices, but they're delivering. Now, this one's a bigger price. I don't like that kind of drop, but Tom does win in these situations, though usually with horses that look a lot better than this horse does. But, Greg, do you really think that 2 is supposed to be this short a price simply because the claim? I know ran a big figure 2 back, but it seems like overboard.
Way too much respect, for, look, one of the best barns in the sport, but what's he supposed to do here?
Off the claim at Oaklawn Park over the last 5 years, Brad Cox is 7 for 23, 30%, with a $1.23 ROI, which fits this horse like a glove, right? They're winning a third of the time, but they're short prices. So I think this horse is way over bet. Maybe this horse is going to change a lot when we get closer to post.
Meanwhile, double-digit odds on this one next door without objection. Let's go back to Mig.
Yeah, Greg, I thought the one without objection was a little bit interesting because the way I'm looking at the race, I think this horse plays out to be the speed of the speed. And what we've seen so far, during this card here at Oaklawn is you want to be forward. I think this horse has a real chance to maybe get clear here, has a race off a bit of a freshening, showed good speed that day. And the inside post, I think, simplifies things. 11-1, I think, is way too big a price for a horse that could be loose. Permafrost, you guys were talking about. And listen, it's not the biggest vote of confidence either. A horse that was claimed over a month ago for 12.5 and now is in for 10. Maybe it's just realistic spotting, but it doesn't give me a tremendous amount of confidence. Brad Cox did kind of get off that bit of a Oaklawn Park slump. He wasn't slumping anyplace else with a big weekend, and now he suddenly went from no wins to 5 wins rather quickly. And then the 6-horse Dual Monarchy. I thought this was another horse that was interesting, taking a bit of a drop in class. Dan Ward does such good work, and Dan Ward was the assistant trainer to Jerry Hollendorf, the Hall of Famer, for many years and a critical part of that team. And he's turned out to be a pretty good trainer on his own as well. I thought Dual Monarchy was quite interesting as well with Isaac Castillo.
All right, Mig, thank you. Wow. A lot of love for the two. That's the kind of respect this barn commands. And for, most of this meet, the big story was that he hadn't won a race, and that changed, this past week over the last few days when he woke up in a big way, Brad Cox.
Right. You're not going to be surprised when, of course, it does change. But still, I don't care. I know you're not saying this, Greg. I don't care if he's winning races or not winning races. This is a horse that doesn't really feel like he's deserving in this field of this short price. Doesn't have a lot of speed. I think the 1 has tactical advantage. I think the 4 has a tactical advantage on him. Now, one of the problems the 6 has is he's pretty devoid of speed, so they'll have to ride him to be in the race. We'll see if they're able to do that. I just think there are alternatives that are much better prices, whether it's the 6, the 8, the 4, 6, 8, 10, any of these horses, there's a viable case. Why is Guiding Arrow impossible in this race? Dropping back to the level he was claimed out of, ran a respectable race last time out. I don't see why that horse can't win, and he's a big price. I think there's, one of the things that makes Oaklawn interesting from an handicapping standpoint is how many times do you look at a field, there's 10 horses in it, and 7 or 8 of them run the same figures.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about it is it almost makes using speed figures somewhat irrelevant in your handicapping. You're going to have to find other ways to handicap along with that, right? I mean, you have to anyway, but you really do there.
Really have to get creative with your handicapping here.
Yeah. And I think one of the ways, and I know the way you think, and you think this way, is you're looking to bet against horses like the 2. May win, and horse may move up in the Brad Cox barn, et cetera. So, all those things may be true. Having said that, it doesn't feel like a great bet at 2-1, and because if you can make a case against the favorite, you're going to get a decent price if you're right and beat them.
And we may as well just look ahead now. The next race coming up, there's another Brad Cox runner, Brunch Punch, who's 9-5 morning line, who looks like there's some other very viable options, mainly the 1, 2, and 3 on the inside.
Well, the interesting thing about Brad Punch is the only good recent figure, the best recent figure was a 5-furlong race. Those race figures can be a little bit unreliable. I mean, I think that Pretty Layla is an obvious alternative. She's the second choice in the line. I'll tell you what's interesting about race number 6 is the age. They're running 3-year-olds. Here it is, January 31st, 3-year-olds against 4-year-olds. The only older horses in this race are the 3 Pretty Layla and the number 8 Brunch Punch and the 9 and 10, who are long shots. Mm-hmm. But you've got a field with 10 horses, and 6 of them are 3-year-olds. I don't know. I mean, some people say I never want to bet the older horses. It is kind of early for them to be meeting, but I often feel like the 3-year-olds have more room to move forward, which I think mitigates that a little bit. I don't know, but I thought it was a very interesting thing about the 6th race, right?
Yeah.
You just don't sort of expect to see that, especially in January.
We'll get to that. So, that's Brunch Punch for Brad Cox in the next race that's going to start off the pick 5. As for the favorite here, there's his claim, the 2, Permafrost, who is the 2-1 favorite.
And I'm guessing that I believe this is his son, and I'm guessing he's the assistant trainer handling the stable at Oaklawn, would be my guess. So he claimed this horse, and he's sort of in charge of it. I'm not saying that is bad or good. I'm just sort of making that observation. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. Though I'm often wrong, and never in doubt.
Meanwhile, we know we're going to get that blazing speed from the rail with the 1. I guess the 8 potentially wants to go as well. But is there a chance that this 1 gets loose?
Oh, yeah. The 1 is supposed to be loose. I mean, with a clean break, Wales got to have this horse in front. Now, whether or not he's good enough to win is another story. I don't wholly trust him running back to figures at Thistledown, but his last race isn't so bad that with a loose lead here, he's impossible to make in here. He's not impossible.
See what happens here. Race 5, Oaklawn. Brad Cox first off the claim with a 2 Permafrost, the favorite. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
Cruiser to the outside post. We're ready to go. And we're off. Good beginning for all the runners in the race. Without objection from the inside, going to the lead from Volcan, who's in the second position with Corridor and Permafrost down inside of that pair. Then comes Stomping Hot Rod in the 5th position within 2.5 lengths of the lead. The gray Dual Monarchy is alongside of him. Guided Arrow well off the fences, second to last. And Express Cruiser is the trailer getting to the rail with Rafael Bejarano. And at the half-mile marker, he's only 5 lengths off the lead. A compact group hits the far turn run without objection. The leader by a half length from Volcan, who's right behind him in chase mode second. Permafrost down on the inside, sent along now to get through down on the inside. It's a narrow spot here, but Permafrost taking the 3rd position is trying to move forward on the inside, coming to the top of the lane. Dual Monarchy is next. Guided Arrow caught deep in the swing off the corner. And getting into it now, Express Cruiser. Express Cruiser has horse. He's going to get to the inside as Permafrost weakens. He's done. Express Cruiser down on the inside has to catch Volcan and without objection. Volcan on the outside with a head in front without objection right there. Express Cruiser down inside of that pair. Volcan without objection. Express Cruiser. These 3 across the track coming to the line without objection between horses. Without objection won it. Without objection. Express Cruiser's second, then Volcan and Corridor.
Between horses without objection in a fight down the stretch. And Travis Wales for Kim Poole, known for some monster long shots in Hot Springs, comes up with a double-digit winner.
Well, as we all said, including the MIG, there was a case to be made for this horse because he was going to be the controlling speed in here, and the rider did a good job. The 2 was a horrendous favorite, obviously, I think being eased and finishing last or second to last, but stayed a little off the rail. Tom Amos trying to come inside with him, just came up a little short. It really felt like the number 4 Vulcan. Looked like he was going to just cruise on to victory top of the stretch, but he didn't have, you ready for it, as tight a grip as he thought he did in the field. Isn't it a Vulcan grip? Isn't that
Yes, Mr. Spock.
Star Trek-y thing?
You are our Mr. Spock, by the way.
I've never seen Star Trek, actually, but I've heard.
What are you talking about? I loved it.
I know. I have all my smart friends
Oh,
I've never watched.
You've never seen it.
Yeah, but I've heard of the Vulcan grip.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to get caught in that for sure. Race 6, 8 minutes away at Aqueduct, 7/8 of a mile. 40,000 claiming race, non-winners at 2 lifetime. This is the current favorite. Patty Brown Eyes, Tom Morley Barn, 4-year-old debut coming up. Second try against winners and a bit of a drop down in class. Stay with us.
And they're off at the Naira Betts Haskell.
In the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
Dornock setting up moderate pace, 3/4 of a length ahead.
As the field turns for home.
They're at it again. The 2 Belmont first and second place finishers.
Mind Frame on the outside. It's coming after Dornock.
Dornock wins the Haskell.
It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stake.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got them. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
City of Light, multiple Grade 1 winner, who posted 7 triple-digit buyers, stands to continue the legacy of his sire, Quality Road, with graded stakes winners Menti, Chop Chop, and Formidable Man. Sire of multiple Grade 1 winner and champion 2-year-old Fierceness.
A powerhouse win.
City of Light, a proven sire in the making, standing at Lane's End Farm.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Back with you on our Friday coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you by Hillendale at Alapa. As we get set for race 6 coming up here in New York. We saw the favorite as we went to break. Patty Brown Eyes, who we'll get to in a moment as she readies for her 4-year-old return. We'll start with stress reliever Brad Cox. Manny Franco aboard.
I think the Connections might have wished there was a little more rain before this race. And the truth is she was in Chad Brown's barn. She's been in Brad Cox's, and she's never really run particularly well, but she's also second off a layoff, so she could improve, but she betters one of these days.
Street View, it's Linda Rice with Eric Cancel.
1 for 15. She drops down a bit after just not doing any running since getting a very good trip to Breaker Maiden.
Beautiful Bolt out. Here's the 4, Saucy 6.
Yeah, I mean, the horse was wide last time in a day. You probably wanted to be live. I haven't seen the races from her. She seems a little slow. That's why she's 11-1.
4-year-old return for the favorite here, Patty Brown Eyes.
Yeah, I picked her. I don't love her, but she does have back races, and Tom Morley's done okay with a limited number of starters first time in a claiming race.
And here's Scarlett's Dream, 7-2, Romero Mirage.
I guess it's a question how much you believe that last figure of 69. It is a figure that was moved up after the first 2 finishers improved in the subsequent start to run 1-2. But I look at this figure and I say, where did that come from? Can we see it again? I'm skeptical, but it's certainly not impossible.
4 minutes away from this 6th race. Coming up, once you remember Naira Bets, take advantage of this, the inside track on handicapping with Naira Bets Track Stats. Want to know how many winners? We're closing from the back at Aqueduct. Track Stats has the answer. For more stats on tracks across the country, visit NairaBets.com. So we'll get to the 5 here in a second. And there's the 5. So Patty Brown Eyes, maiden win. It came at Parks. Came back to New York here and struggled in a other than Allowance Company. And now the drop down.
Yeah, well, she was running against a field last time that's just like a great stake compared to what she's running against here. On the other hand, this race was at Parks, but the good news is, in her first couple of starts, she showed enough ability that figure wasn't really out of line. And if you draw a line through her turf race, suddenly her figures become a little bit more in line. And I mean, she has run okay in her other races. She's a very logical horse, and I think Tom is dropping her. One of the reasons you wouldn't drop a filly or mare is because the horse has residual value as a brood mare. And the Connections either want to sell her to breed or they want to breed themselves related to stakes winners. If that isn't the case, there's no real difference, right, between a colt and a filly in that sense. So I think Tom probably looks at her. I didn't look extensively at her pedigree, but my guess is she doesn't have a pedigree that somebody necessarily wants to breed her, and he thinks, I'm just going to try to run her where she can win. If somebody wants to claim her for 40 and move on, fine. But realistically, what non-winners of 1 is she going to win?
Find the right spot. She's just about at what her purchase price was.
Yeah, right. She's not an expensive
in terms
horse.
of earnings.
Yeah, and she goes to $85,000. I mean, sometimes you got to be realistic if you're a trainer and an owner and you want to win races.
What more do you have for us on Patty Brown Eyes, Maggie?
Waited a bit to run her for a tag just because, you know, she's a big filly that thought that maybe there was some improvement to see, you know, later on in her 3-year-old year. And it's just kind of, she is what she is. So that's why she's in here for the 40. But against this field, she looks uber tough. And furthermore, I like the 7 furlongs. I think that because, like I said, she's a bigger filly with some scope to her, that 6 has always kind of caught her out a little bit, and she's out-footed a bit. So I feel like the 7 furlongs just allows her to find her stride a bit easier. Bright disposition in the paddock and out on the racetrack. I think her main foe is in accordance with the board here with number 1. That is second off the layoff, Stress Reliever. And I thought coming back at a mile, although I know she broke her maiden at a mile, it was just too far. I think the 7 furlong hits her squarely between the eyes. She's a tighter filly. She's always been a heavier type that carries a lot of conditioning, and she's just tighter. Having that race under her belt, she's a little bit more alert today. She was really quiet. It just was like she wasn't cranked up for that return to the races at a distance where I don't really love any horse coming back at it, and I don't know if she's necessarily built for it either. So I think she is by far the main threat to number 5, Patty Brown Eyes. I can't say I can warm up whatsoever to number 6, Scarlet's Dream. She came in completely washed out. It's slightly warmer. It's like 40 degrees. That's not warm. Then she was bad to saddle. They had to saddle her outside, which they got the tackle on with no problems. But while she is a filly that sometimes has been high energy, it's not like she was high energy today. She just seemed nervous and was really washed out. She never carries that much weight. So for me, guys, it was all between the 5 and 1.
All right, Maggie, thank you. So 8-5 on the 5, 9-5 on the 1.
I guess the thing with the 1 is you have this sort of hope that she hasn't exposed herself, that she has that upside, unlike the 5. But I would say about the 5 is that they kind of exhausted their opportunities with her, and now they're being realistic, which is what Maggie was saying. You know, they tried, they waited as long as they could, and finally said, okay, she needs to run the race. Whereas the 1, they're shoving her in right away. They realize she is who she is. So I just think the 6 is a more likely winner than the 1. I picked the 5 is, excuse me. I picked the race 5-1, so Maggie and I are on the same page in this race. I just think at a similar price. I'd rather take 8-5 on the 5 than 9-5 on the 1.
And the really good effort from this one came on a muddy sealed track, so it makes you wonder a little bit.
And it wasn't even that good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't even like that spectacular. Right. So you wonder a little bit, is this a horse that if you got a little, and we've had a couple of sprinkles. I mean, fortunately, I hope it stays that way, especially for Maggie, who's out there in the rain.
Andy's concerned for you, Maggie. Good to
hear. Maggie, listen, Maggie and I go back a long, long way. She's been putting up with me. We've been putting up with each other for a long, long time.
For that, no
right.
question. Here's Chris Griffin, race 6.
And they're off. Scarlet's Dream shot out of the gate, and Scarlet's Dream right out to the front. Drifted out just a touch, and now hooks up with the backstretch. Just a bit keen on the front end. Scarlet's Dream is the clear leader. Right in behind them comes a Patty Brown Eyes, who's tracking from second, quickly moves towards the outside as Scarlet's Dream gets over to the rail. They're going to be 1-2 as Stress Reliever is now a shared third with moving forward Street View. The trailer, 3 wide there, is Saucy 6 as they work up the backstretch through a 24-second flat opening quarter mile. The leader is Scarlet's Dream and Romero Mirage. They approach 4 furlongs left to go. They're a half length in front. Patty Brown Eyes, Sahin Savachi is in full pursuit right here in the 2-path, no excuses. 3 wide, ready to pounce at Street View. And Eric Cancel wants that speed from Street View, moves forward. 4 wide is going to be Saucy 6. The one trying to keep up as Stress Reliever is losing some ground, is at the back end of the field. The leader is Scarlet's Dream. Scarlet's Dream is back to a neck in front. In between horses, there's Patty Brown Eyes. Street View is 3 wide and chasing, losing a touch of ground there with Saucy 6. They reach the top of the stretch, and Scarlet's Dream is very stubborn, won't relent down towards the inside. Patty Brown Eyes is trying to run her down, is still not in front as Scarlet's Dream battles on for a final furlong. These two still head and head, and Scarlet's Dream to the inside. Patty Brown Eyes just gets the advantage. Patty Brown Eyes is trying to edge clear late. Patty Brown Eyes gets the victory over Scarlet's Dream. Tight here for third. Street View and Saucy 6 in 1 minute 25.31 seconds.
Patty Brown Eyes for a while looked like this filly was not going to get by. Eventually does just wear down that 6 horse on the inside.
It was a battle of attrition down the stretch. The number 6 Scarlet Dream broke well, and Romero does what he does, which is he does not take the speed away from his horses. Got to the front, but a good job once again by Savatgy for stalking on the outside, making sure never to lose sight of that horse. And I think it really made a difference. It's not that the pace projector kind of had these horses together, but I like the fact Savatgy realized, I'm going to have to be on this horse the entire way here, and did wear her down at the end, but took quite a Herculean effort to do it. Stress reliever showed very early that she simply can't run.
So Patty Brown Eyes did go off 7-5 favorite and able to, wear this one down, Scarlet Stream, and get this victory. And, good for her to do this off the bench, too. Well done by Tom Morley to have her ready to roll, get the win, and remains to be seen if she got taken for $40,000.
I don't know. I bet she did get claimed. Yeah. I would think that these horses first time for a tag are sort of more likely to get claimed. You know what I mean?
We'll find out in a bit. Sahin Savatgy aboard for that victory. Lucky Hat Racing, Tom Morley Barn, and the favorite at 7-5 with the win here in race 6. We're going to take a time out. We'll have these prices for you when we come back. Road to that first Saturday in May, picking back up here in New York, where that man will be aboard Captain Cook for the Rick Ductro Jr. Barn. Impressive maiden win on a wet track. The end of 2024. 3-year-old debut coming up this weekend in the Withers. Back with you on our Friday coverage on Fox Sports 2. Patty Brown Eyes, first start back as a 4-year-old. Been off since late November. Had to fight for this one to get by Scarlet Stream, and does in the return for the Tom Morley Barn.
And I think, as we noted, 3 horses were claimed out of this race, of which the winner was one of them.
Yeah, 1, 5, and 6. And these two battling down the stretch both get taken.
Yep. And wish them luck going forward. I think, once again, a perfect situation of Tom Morley finding the right spot to run Patty Brown Eyes. And, I think when you're a trainer, you obviously want to win. But when you run in a race, when you're making a drop, and you're always thinking, am I dropping too soon? I'm going to probably lose the horse. When you win by, like that horse won, there has to be a sense of satisfaction that I did the right thing. If you run them and they run badly, that's one thing. But if they win by 6 lengths, it's easy to say, maybe I gave this one away too soon. Not the case here.
If you're claiming here, do you almost feel a little bit better if you claim the 6 because you still have this condition available?
Yes. Yes. No, I agree. I mean, it's the case, sometimes you see these drop downs in maiden claiming races. Somebody claims the horse, and you're thinking, do they really want the horse to win? Because in a maiden claiming race, they're almost immediately worth 50% unless it's an outlier. But in general, they're worth, the next race is going to be for half the price at claiming tag. You got to be careful, and I agree with you. I mean, I'd rather have the 6 coming out of here. I'd rather keep the condition.
Yeah.
Even some second and thirds and getting checks, no doubt about it.
We'll move on to the next race in a moment. Cross country, which you could play through Naira Bets, is coming up in about 9 minutes. It will include races 6, 7, and 8 at Oaklawn, and races 7 and 8 here in New York. We're about 20 minutes away from race 7 in New York. But yeah, first race to kick it off on that good surface in Hot Springs is the 6th race from Oaklawn Park. This race allowance, non-winners of 2 life, 6 furlong sprint, where we have a Brad Cox filly, who we talked about, Brunch Punch, who potentially could be a little bit over bet, 5-2 right now, is the favorite, the 8, and she's made 7 career starts, and she got beat by Pretty Layla, who she'll have to deal with again today, who's 7-2 right now.
Is it a bad morning line, or is she a little chilly on the board right now? My guess is if I look, she's going to be a much, much shorter price looking at multi-race bets. Big price last race. Let's see what we're looking at here. You know what? She's not even the favorite in the doubles. How about that? The 3 is a slight favorite. With the 2, they're all sort of 2, 3, and 8, all sort of the same prices.
Yeah, I mean, look, the 1, the 2, they both won first time out. Start number 2 coming up for both of them. So it seems like a lot of upside for both these 2 fillies down on the inside.
Why is the 2 taking so much more money than the 1? Is it because the 1 won in a sloppy track? Because, both those horses ran, out of town, and they ran similar figs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at multi-race bets when I say the 2 taking more money than 1.
Here's Ken McPeak. Does he have another very good 3-year-old filly? This is in awe of Juju.
It's hard to read that race because they were mostly first-time stars that have not run back.
Faux Gras, you a fan?
I love foie gras. Foie gras, yeah, I know it's cruel, but it is what it is.
Steve Asmussen won at Churchill in the debut at 5.5. Pretty Layla ran a big figure last start.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's a little on the high side, looking up Absinthe and the other horses in there. Are you a fan of Absinthe? Or is that for a conversation for another time and place?
Yeah, probably another
I've never had it.
It's allegedly you hallucinate with
yes,
it, right?
Yes.
Flashwear, you're
Shocking,
getting
I've never
Lasix.
had it. Yeah, seems. I mean, it's a horse that's just gotten worse with every start, but has had a little bit of a layoff.
Kentucky Smoke Show getting Lasix went by. Here's the 6.
That's who I meant, actually. The 6 just looks slow.
Okay, Spanker Boom, Speedster.
Okay. I don't even want to ask.
Okay, Ramon Vasquez, thank you, at 16-1. Peter Miller trains.
Yeah, I mean, I always look at the Peter Miller horses, but this horse just looks too slow.
I'm assuming this has a little kick to it. Brunch Punch, whoever named this filly.
One of the few 4-year-olds in this race, interestingly enough. And I guess she's had her chance to get through the conditions, but she's the worst to beat, I thought, here.
Wise Miss, a couple long shots outside, the 9 one of them.
A little on the slow side, but not. Her last race wasn't that bad.
And Wampus Kitten, second back off a long time away.
Yeah, maybe she'll improve second time. She'll need to finish well behind Princess Layla in her last start.
Ken McPeak. This was his meet last year with both the Derby and Oaks winner winning big preps on the way to that historic Oaks Derby double. This filly debuted December 28th on a wet track fairground. She wins first time out at better than 18-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a problem evaluating horses off sloppy tracks. You don't want to discount them. You don't want to, think too much of them. I mean, think about a horse like Ferocious. A lot of people got awfully excited about him off a wet track maiden debut, which was impressive, but he's never run back to it. He's run okay, but he's never run back to that debut, and you wonder if the wet track had something to do with it. And it could be that not only this horse run a little better, but also others didn't show up. But I still thought it was a respectable effort. I just don't know how to judge them because they're horses that have not run back since they were first-time starters. I like to have a better idea of who he was running against or she was running against.
So, yeah, in awe of Juju, first-time out winner. Faux Gras next door for Steve Asmussen, first out winner. Let's go to Mig for how these second-time starters look for the second start coming up. Mig, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really taken with the 1 horse from a physical perspective, in awe of Juju from the Kenny McPeak barn. It's a little hard for me sometimes to discern a gray horse's coat, how rich and hydrated they look. But it's very apparent with the one in Awe of Juju. Now, you guys were having a very interesting conversation about 3-year-olds. At this time of year, this is very early for 3-year-olds to take on older horses. Now, they are in receipt of a 7-pound break in the weights, which certainly helps. Years ago, this early, it would have been considerably more of a spread in the weights. And you can go back to a horse named Stagehand that won the Santa Anita Derby as a 3-year-old, obviously, and then came back and won the Santa Anita Handicap, but he got in with 100 pounds because of taking on older horses this early. I'm always going to lean towards older horses. Now, one of the conventional ways of thinking, wisdom, is that, well, if they're a 4-year-old and they still have this condition, are they that good? I just think that they're giving 3-year-olds are giving away a lot in maturation at this point. But I do like what I see from the one in Awe of Juju, the 3 Pretty Layla. I thought her last race was a real step forward. She won Broker Maiden first asking running at Oaklawn in the Chris Hartman barn, but I thought her last race really kind of pointed her out, and she'd be the one I would lean on. Loved the way she warmed up, really high energy level. The 8 Brunch Punch as well, making a nice impression. I'm always going to lean towards 4-year-olds in these situations. But that being said, a couple of interesting 3-year-olds, guys.
You don't just see more upside with these first out winners? These youngsters?
I think it's an interesting conversation. And, you know, what's interesting, and you and I will talk off camera about things like this. I think one of the things we don't do enough of in racing is look at the numbers, you know, kind of map how do 3-year-olds do in these situations when they run against olders first time out. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think you and I probably agree they got to be fast enough.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're 3, 4, 5 or whatever. You want to, you know, there's a race called over in, I think it's the Nunthorpe, which is one of the biggest sprints over in Europe, and that's for all ages. And 2-year-olds have won that race now, as Richie was alluding to. They get a big weight break. But 2-year-olds have won those races. So, and I don't really think the weight is mattering that much at 5 furlongs in those races. I think at the end of the day, if you're fast enough, listen, the day that Lost in the Fog won the King's Bishop, now the Alan Jerkins at Saratoga, there was a horse that won his debut that day that got a much faster figure on anybody's figures you look at. That horse was Discreet Cat. I think there's probably people out there that think if Discreet Cat had run against Lost in the Fog today, he might have won. And so I don't really know. You know, at the end of the day, I don't want to get caught up in that stuff because it feels like it's a lot of conjecture.
Well, Ken McPeek with an intriguing 3-year-old filly who will break from the rail. She's 7-2 in here. He obviously has the filly of the sport right now. That is the horse of the year, Torpedo Anna, who is going to be rolling through Hot Springs once again. With more on her, let's go back to Mig.
Yeah, it sounds like everything's on target for Torpedo Anna to make her 4-year-old debut right here in the Azeri. I was talking with Ray Briner, the assistant trainer to Kenny McPeek here at Oaklawn. He said she's going to ship in here in a few weeks and finish her preparation for that Azeri right here on the ground. So I'll be really looking forward to getting a up close and personal look of Torpedo Anna. And just getting back, guys, spread in weights is what matters. Years ago, Alan Jerkins, the fall high weight was open for 2-year-olds and up, and he would put in a 2-year-old filly or a 3-year-old filly, get in with 100 pounds, be in receipt of 30 to 40 pounds from their rivals, put John Rowane, who could actually do 100 pounds. You know, I believe that weight can stop a train. It's just the amount of a spread it is.
I'm glad she's not going to Dubai. That's what I'm glad about. I just think it'll be better for her to get her start here. And I understand there's a lot of money at stake. And if I owned the horse, I'd be tempted as well. And I'm not going to, you know, knock somebody who's going to go over there and going to be a relatively short price or even a reasonable price for that kind of money. Having said, I just think it'd probably suit her year much better. Because I'm looking forward, like everybody's seen her
back. We want as
much
of her as possible. Not to say that couldn't happen. We'll see what happens. I think a lot of people do want to see. I know you don't love it. I do want to see her against the boys again at some point.
Well, I think
there's
lots. Let me put it this way. Let's say she runs in the Azeri, runs well. She runs in the Apple Blossom, runs well. Probably don't come back 3 weeks later in La Troyenne. So you point for a race like the Phipps up at Saratoga. She wins those races, and she's better than she was last year. I think you start looking at the Whitney.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't really want the Whitney and you want to run Personal Ensign, you want to do it a little bit differently and say, I'm going to put my eggs in one basket and I'm going to run against the boys in the Classic. I think you can choose, but let's see what she can do as a 4-year-old.
And you know with Ken McPeek, because he is not scared to take these shots. It's all those spots against the boys are on the table right now. He's looking at them all.
But, horses are horse specific. It looks like Mystic Dan can't run at all anymore. Now, I'm not saying that has anything to do with Torpedo Anna, but I think if you're Kenny, you're looking going, okay, I got one that was really good as a 3-year-old, and I don't know what I'm going to do with him now as a 4-year-old. I want her to come back and see where she is. And that's why I'm glad she's running in the Azari. I want to see her do well. As you know, I've been a fan of this horse all along.
5-2 favorite, Brad Cox, Brunch Punch. She's had 7 starts. She got beat by Pretty Layla, another 4-year-old. Last time out, who was, 2 lengths better than her in the end. In a figure, as you said, maybe came back a little bit higher than it deserved. And then you have the 2 first-time starters that won their debuts, the 1, the 2, who have just more upside potentially because they could by leaps and bounds improve here in this second start. They're 7-2 and 5-1 respectively.
Well, Pretty Layla's had it's only her second chance to win a non-winners of 1 or a non-winners of 2 lifetime, but the 8 broke her maiden her second start, and she's failed 5 times. Now she was only a super short price once, but these horses have had their chances in both the 1 and 2. On the other hand, one of the toughest things in the game is getting off a maiden win to come back and win.
And both the 1 and 2, these first out winners, both by Volatile, who we've now learned can win going long now too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Southwest winner, Speed King for Ron Moquette.
Always interested.
A Volatile.
Yeah.
Who was an exceptional sprinter in a brief career. See what happens here in the 6th from Oaklawn. 6-furlong sprint coming up. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Wise Miss, Flashware, 2 back, Kentucky Smoke Show, also by Volatile, who of course is the sire of the Southwest winner, Speed King. Kentucky Smoke Show walking up to the gate, and Wampus Kitten to the outside post. Waiting for Wampus Kitten to go into the gate. Goes it. We're ready to go. Flashware backed away, reloading into the gate here with Francisco Arrieta. Now we're set. And we're off. Good beginning. Spanker Boom up close. Wise Miss hit the ground running. Here's Pretty Layla firing through in the middle of the field, and Pretty Layla snatches the lead away from Wise Miss and Spanker Boom. Foie Gras down on the inside. The rail's open to come and challenge Pretty Layla, who has a half-length edge on Foie Gras. Spanker Boom 3 deep. Wise Miss right off of them in the 4th position. Then Brunch Punch goes well in the early stages in the bridle. Takes 5th. 2 lengths off the pace approach in the forward turn. Wampus Kitten, Alanis are next. Then comes in awe of Juju. The gray filly joined by Kentucky Smoke Show, and a big space back to Flashware, who's detached from the rest. Around the forward turn, Pretty Layla with a head in front. Spanker Boom's right there, and a 3 deep Wise Miss. Those 3 can't separate them. They're across the track as they approach the quarter pole. Brunch Punch getting into it now, taking the 4th position. Foie Gras right alongside of her at the top of the lane. Wise Miss going to the front from the outside. Pretty Layla second now. Spanker Boom dropping out of it. Foie Gras next, and then Brunch Punch, who didn't have the biggest punch today. Wise Miss kicking away for the Mac Robertson barn. It's Wise Miss by 2. Pretty Layla second. Foie Gras re-rallying into second. Then Kentucky Smoke Show, but it's Wise Miss to win it at 10-1. Foie Gras second. 3rd, Pretty Layla. Kentucky Smoke Show was 4th.
It was an older filly who wins this race.
Right.
How in the world do you come up with Wise Miss in this race?
I don't know. She just looks a little slow. I don't think she's awful. I mean, she's 10-1. She's probably around the price she would be. I didn't like her either, Greg. I simply did not think she was good enough. She got a good trip, good ride from Manny Esquivel, but she was as much the best in here. And you were right about the 8, Greg. You were sitting here telling me for about an hour, I don't like the Brad Cox horse in the 6th at Oaklawn, and you were right. She had an absolutely perfect trip and had nothing.
A Wise Miss, by the way, coming out of that same race, she was behind Brunch Punch. She gets the win somehow.
She was
10-1. Yeah. Lesson learned, take the better price. Yeah.
I didn't like her either, Greg.
7th race, Aqueduct, 7 minutes away from this starter optional claiming field where Vamonos Vamonos right now is favored. Katie Davis will ride from the inside. Gate to wire win last start. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, half the 6-horse field are gray horses, but I will not begin with your favored gray in number 1, Vamonos, but the other one to his outside in number 2, Western Wolf, who, well, gave Dylan Davis something to be frightened by last time out down the backside when he kind of started reacting to the kickback, and instead of just kind of putting his head up in the air, he tried to jump the inside fence. So therefore unseating Dylan and running loose thereafter. So now he comes back with the blinkers on, just a short cup cheater blinker to do exactly, one would think, what they are intended to do, and that is to provide more focus to a horse and not have them worrying about what's necessarily going on right next to them or behind them. He looks great. He's a horse that I've liked throughout his career, but he continues to get more fit, just more athletic overall. So we'll see, does Lane Luzzy climbing aboard for the first time and those blinkers on get him back to being a front runner, because that was the problem last time where it was his first time taking kickback and he didn't know what to do. Moving on to number 3, Just Clarity, who will return as a gelding and getting Lasix off a little bit of a layoff in the back of the win for 40 for Dave Dunk. Now, a lot of times horses being gelded / getting Lasix will have them a bit more tucked up. And while he looks fit, I'm wondering if he should look more fit given those changes. I like what I'm seeing from him overall. A horse that has impressed me with his 3 starts thus far. Physically warms up well, moves well on the racetrack, Craig. But we'll just see. I'm not 100% sure he's 100% fit.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Our post board coming up. 8-5 favorite, who we'll kick things off with here. Vamonos coming off that in career start number 6, gate to wire win to get that first victory.
Perhaps this horse improved in the Toscano barn, but for my money, this horse improved on a huge speed bias, and I think is dramatically overbet as the likely favorite.
Terrific name, 3-1 on Western Wolf.
Name for Greg Wolf, actually. I picked this one on top, wire to wire.
Blinkers on and Lasix. Just Clarity, 3-year-old debut.
Listen, the maiden win, albeit on a muddy sealed track, was fast enough to compete here. Has been gelded since. Not out of it.
Linda Dixon barn with Sobieski.
I have a smart friend who likes this horse. I have no idea why.
7-1 as well next, or Taprit's Temper, Wayne Potts barn.
I mean, she's okay, and he's okay. It feels like that he's just one of the ones that clunks along and might be good enough to win. A little bit of an overlay right now.
And Dirt debut, a horse moving to the Jamie Nesbarn Tycoon Mogul.
I mean, the pedigree doesn't say it's not going to move up on the dirt. There was a bad field the horse beat last time, but I think as a new face in here, trying the dirt for the first time for Jamie Ness can't be ignored. What?
Chancelot, 3-year-old.
Yes, not a lot of Chancelots. Not surprised.
So 8-5. Vamonos.
His trainer.
This is the win. Again, in career start number 6, 71 buyer against State Bred Maiden 25.
In the third race today, there was an entry where the entry may finish second, but the one they were betting was Magic 8 Ball. And they were betting Magic 8 Ball, and she had 0 chance in the race. As close to 0 as possible, because she got an 82 buyer winning on December 27th on a gold rail, and the most incredible bias I've ever seen for an inside bias. They bet that horse she was last or second to last. Vamonos was on an historically strong speed bias last time out that I absolutely believe exaggerated this horse's performance. Now, is it impossible she wins? No, because even her prior race is fast enough to compete here. So I don't think it's impossible he wins, and maybe he moved up a little bit in his new barn, but he's not a horse I would bet as the favorite in this race.
Yeah, really, I mean, big jump forward, and now believing he's going to do it again against a lot tougher company. Meanwhile, Western Wolf, a lot of changes here. Blinkers on and getting Lasix after hitting the rail last start and not finishing the race.
Lane Luzzy's job is to basically break. If you break, you go to the front. Once again, you lose. But this horse is controlling speed, and I'll take this horse to wire the field.
Yeah, I think they want speed. They put blinkers on an incredibly fast horse anyway, and a 3-furlong bullet move coming in.
And Maggie likes the one because, like me, she loves Street Boss. But I think there's a lot going on in here. I mean, the 6 horse is certainly worth mentioning, trying the dirt for the first time. So, I mean, I think there's other things going on in here. To me, the key is to bet against the 1, especially as the favorite.
Back to Maggie.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Andy. I just don't see Vamonos as that strong of a favorite. And Lane Leslie doing everything we'd hoped in the warm-ups to really aggressive warm-up with Western Wolf. So I would think not pulling any prisoners. And as I said in the paddock, like we saw last time when it was the first time he didn't get to the lead, things didn't go well. We'll move on to the horse trying the dirt for the first time. Son of Chancelot. There is not much pedigree to go on the bottom side either. If you go back a generation, it's actually mostly turf. But I'll say this, he is very upright in his pasterns. It's not like he looks proverbially turf. You know, I'm going to have to really start training my eye to these horses that like the synthetic better, as we will have Tapeta at the new Belmont Park. But obviously it's something that I'm not that accustomed to. But on top of all that, just a really small, unassuming, just looks a cut below many of these in here as he ships in for Jamie Ness. First off, that change. So I'll definitely take the wait and see approach with number 6 in here. Tycoon Mogul just isn't quite stacking up to the competition he faces today, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thanks. 5-1 for the dirt debut for the 6 coming up. We'll see what we get.
Yeah, I don't, I respect Maggie's opinion on it. I don't, it's obviously much more qualified than mine. I just, looking at paper, I'm always going to be interested in a new face in here. But once again, like I said, I prefer the 2. I picked the race 2, 5, 6. I just think, to me, I have one strong opinion here. Bet against the 1. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
And just as quick as the 2 is, and they're putting blinkers on, like I said, and that 3-furlong bullet drill, which signals intention that they want that speed ready to roll. He's going to try and run away from him here.
Well, I mean, if the 2 breaks, there's nobody here that can run with her.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody wants to go into a full-out drive, I suppose anything's possible. But realistically, I think they just can't run with him.
9-5 favorite, though, this one. Vamonos. We'll see if he can repeat what he did last time out with that big jump forward to a 71 buyer. But he's going to have a tough time doing it on the front end like he did last time with the horse next door.
One of the things that prove biases are when horses run exceptionally outlier figs, faster figs than they've ever shown themselves capable of doing. And that's sort of the case with Vamonos. But we'll see. Maybe he's improved.
Katie Davis rides set for race 7 as they load up. There is the speedy Western Wolf next door with Lane Leslie. Chris Griffin, the call.
Just Clarity. Sobieski. Tappert's Temper. And one more. Tycoon Mogul. Tycoon Mogul goes in. All set. And they're off. Tappert's Temper. Speed out towards the front, but Western Wolf now towards the inside, and Western Wolf assumes command. Western Wolf and Lane Leslie tearing away up the backstretch here is up by a length and a half. Right there is Tappert's Temper now watching from second, and at the rail, that's Vamonos in third. Comes Tycoon Moguls in the 4th position out wider, and in behind them Sobieski. The trailer, Just Clarity, with less than 4 furlongs to travel. They move into the far turn, and Western Wolf is still in front. Western Wolf has been speedy throughout. Western Wolf is well into the far turn now with Vamonos in the clear in full pursuit. Vamonos is at the rail, is just tracking the other gray in Western Wolf. Now tips off the rail, and here comes Vamonos in the 2 path. 3 wide is Tappert's Temper trying to keep up. Under a drive, there comes Tycoon Mogul. Has about 5-6 lengths to make up as Western Wolf keeps going. It's Western Wolf, but here's Vamonos in between horses. Tappert's Temper is not out of it. Tappert's Temper has now put a neck in front. Flying from the back is Just Clarity. Just Clarity is rolling on the grandstand side, but running out of time. A 16th left to go. Tappert's Temper from way out of it. Just Clarity from last to first to win it. Just Clarity from out of nowhere got it done over Tappert's Temper. Then came a photo, Tycoon Mogul with Vamonos in 1 minute 11 and 4.
D-O-N-K, Donk, Donk, Donk. David Donk, Just Clarity. 3-year-old debut, new gelding, Lasix, rolling from off the pace to get this win.
And a perfect ride by Savatgy. That's what you want to do, right? You save all the ground the turn, and we're showing it there, and you angle out in the stretch. And yeah, it seemed like this horse had a lot of work to do, but you know, I said to you at the 16th pole, it's going to be very close, and you said, no, it's not. The 3's going to win. And you were right.
Biggest Jets fan on the grounds, David Donk, with the victory here. What an impressive first-time out winner recently.
Those Joe Gucci colors, the green hat and the black silk's always easy to identify as well, and a nice job for David coming off the layoff. New gelding, ran fast enough to be competitive, albeit in the mud last time, was ready to go at 6-1, and our first sort of semi-upset today. I don't know how the 5 was 6-1 in this race, but I think that was the morning line, which I said I thought would be wrong. It wasn't wrong. It was right. And it was 9-2.
The 5?
Yeah. I just thought the horse would be a shorter price and it was a bigger price. I'm not sure if it's a race or not. Regardless of the case, and the 2, she made a lead. She can't run, so I don't want any part of her. She finished dead last in here. And Vamonos got an absolutely perfect trip. It just wasn't good enough because her last race was an aberrant effort because of the bias. And the beauty of bias is betting against horses that are exaggerated performances because of the bias, but also betting horses that were compromised.
So Just Clarity, 6-1. Sahin Savatgy, keeps saying this man's name a lot, coming from north of the border, continuing to impress. And this 3-year-old son of War of Will rolling late down the stretch for the upset win here in the 7th. We'll have the prices when we come back.
Wins convincingly.
Seize the Gray. He's going to seize the day in the Pennsylvania Derby.
Seize the Gray is still there. Seize the Gray wins the Preakness.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Good to have you with us on our Friday coverage here, America's Day at the Races. Brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. And here in the 7th, Just Clarity with the victory here at 6-1.
Some run this horse made, but that's the way you ride a closer. You save that ground on the turn, you angle them out, and you try to explode down the lane. And it certainly worked out well here.
Sahin Savatgy for David Donk. Look at this 3 rolling down the stretch for the victory here. Appropriate that we just had that little sponsorship nudge. It's a Claiborne Stallion producing here in the 7th. Or Will.
There you go. Will's had a good first year.
Yeah.
Really good first year. As a
Wow.
stallion. What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressed early on.
He really did. I mean, he's a horse that could have been hit or miss. He's been good.
Great
He's
one
done
on the grass.
really well. Grass and dirt, yeah. Those things don't always work out. They have here. Meanwhile, good luck if you're alive in this. You got a lot of nice prices starting the thing out, right?
Potentially 2 legs in, taking this whole pool with that kind of start.
Yeah.
Long way to go, though. Good luck.
You and I would not
still
be alive. I would have had Just Clarity on a spread. I would not have had Wise Miss.
Not have had Wise Miss.
No, sir.
No chance. Back to Oaklawn when we return from a timeout. Race 7, 6 furlongs. Allowance optional claiming field. Attaché, one of quite a few contenders in a difficult race coming up, but 7-5 on this Chris Hartman 5-year-old trying to win a 3rd in a row when we come back. Back with you on our Friday coverage here on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day of the Races with race 7 from Oaklawn. Up next, it is a very competitive 6 furlong sprint. Allowance optional claiming field. Many contenders. We showed you Attaché going to break for Chris Hartman. That right now is a 7-5 favorite. Again, trying to win a 3rd in a row, a 6-time winner from 15 starts.
Yeah, now this race did lose a lot of players in this race. I mean, the 3 that I like the most were all scratched, along with the 14, who if he had gotten in, he was going to be the favorite in here. So we'll see.
Start with Bohemian Bow coming off a big effort for Tom Vance.
Speed of the speed.
6-1 next door, 2 Eagles River.
Not impossible to get it done, but I just worry a little bit an X course for Chris Hartman.
Chiringo certainly could win this race.
I thought he was a little bit on the slow side. We'll see if he should be forwardly placed.
There's the favorite for Chris Hartman.
Listen, he's likely to be in a stalking position. I would take the horse at 6-5, but he's a player here.
Major Blue, 12-1 for Dwayne Lucas.
He's not good enough.
I would agree.
He's just so inconsistent, probably better in a wet track, too.
Friar Lawrence, I thought, was a little interesting.
It's race 2 back for Tom Amoss. His last dirt race was good enough to give him a chance.
He's 20-1 right now. Runaway Jack.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Interesting, but he's been gone for so long.
Yeah, I can't take him off a 13-plus month layoff, and he's got a big fig at Delaware.
Invulnerable scratch, the 12, 7-2 on Echo again. Norm Cassidy.
He's a dangerous horse off the claim for Norm Cassidy. Now, Norm doesn't have good numbers. Off the claim in the dirt, he's 8 for 52, 96% ROI. Sprints, he's 21%, but he's a horse that's run well in his last start, and he's got figures that make him a contender. Not impossible at all, though. You know what? I'd take a small shot with the 1 to wire the field here at a price, but I don't have a big opinion here.
Well, Mig, no secret what they want to do from the inside with Bohemian Bow. They want to go.
Yeah, it simplifies things. You have the rail, you have speed. And one thing I've really noticed, over the last few years of us covering Oaklawn Park is Christian Torres seems to get more speed out of horses. Now, he rides a lot of horses with natural speed, but you can almost count on that he's going to allow them to show that speed. And I also, Andy, thought Bohemian Bow was a bit interesting with that inside speed, this Arkansas-bred son of Gentleman's Bet. The 2-horse really elevated Two Eagles River on the racetrack. I do think when I looked down, I said, well, Mike Maker trainee. Mike Maker's horses tend to look really good. I know Maggie feels the same way as I do about that. And I think this horse might be the best closer in the race, and there is speed sign on. That's going to be who I'm going to land on here is the Two Eagles River. The 5 Attaché has speed, makes a lot of sense, short price. Tyler Bacon, rider I've been very impressed with. You see when a young rider starts to really see a race, it's things slow down for them. When you first start riding, everything's fast and quick, and you get a little overwhelmed. This kid is really starting to see a race well, and he's a really nice young man. Had a chance to talk with him a couple of days ago. Got a good head on his shoulders. And, if you're going to be a successful rider, you can't, kind of be a yahoo. You've got to really focus. And he just seems to me like he's got a lot of focus, and he's getting a lot of opportunities for somebody like Wayne Lucas, which gives you credibility with other trainers. And then the 12 Echo again, a horse that's versatile, has speed, but the outside gives Ricardo Santana a lot of options. Horse making the first start off the claim by Norm Cassidy. And I thought the outside post should aid this horse. It seems like sprints here, when you've got speed from the outside, you kind of can control things even if you're not on the lead. I thought he was very interesting.
Mig, thank you. 7-5 favorite. Public still loves Attaché here, this 5, but this one, who just left our screen, that 1 horse, is going to try and wire that field as we take a look at what's ahead this weekend. 3 stakes on our Saturday card. We hope you join us, including a Derby prep and the Grade 1 Withers at 1 1/8, which is our AVR race of the week. $250,000 purse. More importantly, points to get into that starting gate for the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, listen, it's a good time of the year to dream, and we saw the Withers winner of 2 years ago win the Preakness, so we've seen horses come out of these races and compete in the Triple Crown race. Whether or not one of these horses is early voting, that remains to be seen.
Manny Franco will team up with Rick Dutrow Jr. Captain Cook, start number 2, was a sloppy sealed track, but it was a 3-year-old debut, and it was a big move forward in the 3-year-old debut.
He's got a lot of talent. There's no doubt about it. I think the connections were really sorry. The connections, say, the trainer, Norm Cassidy, to lose this horse, but it was sold in dispersal when John Hendrickson, unfortunately the widow of Mary Lou Whitney, he passed away in the summer way too soon. And in the dispersal, they went in and paid $410,000, despite the fact this horse was 6th in its maiden debut with a 71 buyer. And the worry is the pedigree is not screaming distance. Practical Joke, while he's had some success, more of a sprinting type, and the dam side is really all sprint. So I think Rick Dutrow is probably saying, well, I feel confident he's talented, and I'm going to find out early whether or not he's going to be effective longer distances. And if he's not, you cut him back. We've got some pretty lucrative, important races in the Woody Stevens and the Alan Jerkins, and if you can get him competitive for those, fine. Find out in February if you're good enough to go long.
Meanwhile, Mo Quality, second to Coal Battle. The great story for trainer Lonnie Briley, who was the winner of this Smarty Jones. And of course, Coal Battle had beat before this Speed King in the Springboard Mile, came back to win the Southwest.
Springboard Mile could be.
Could be.
You're hearing that soon from somebody. I want to love Cole Battle because he's cool with the connections, blah, blah, blah. But he was able to win this race setting a very, very slow pace when foolishly other speed horses were rated. So I don't know. He could be good. And this horse was right on the pace, so I wonder if he's dressed up by that. Having said that, it's not as though he has no credentials going in the race. So I have to consider him a contender as well, and I'm glad he's here.
But and you bring up a good point. The other day when we talked about this horse, look who he just barely out-battled. A horse is really more of a sprinter.
I agree.
Tails Angel.
But the pace enabled that horse to hold together better than maybe he should have. Listen, I'm not going to discount others in this race. The horse on the outside that comes from way back, and even Global Steve. I think if you discount horses from Butch Reed, especially one shipping in for our stakes, you've gotten burned.
He won that race last year with Uncle Heavy. See if he can do it again. The horse from the rails. We get back to Oaklawn, 8-5 favoritism. Chris Hartman Barn, always dangerous in Hot Springs, having another terrific start to the meet. And this was back on January 4th, second win in a row for this 5-year-old.
You got a horse that's 12 for 15 in the money career with 6 wins. He's got a level of consistency. I don't think he's run well enough that he's supposed to be 9-5 in this race, but he does have some consistently faster numbers, albeit at Churchill Downs. His last race probably makes him the horse to beat, but I still think, even with the scratches, this is a somewhat competitive field. Horse to beat, maybe, but I don't know that he has a major edge.
Yeah, I'm with you.
The 7 is too big a price, 15-1. I don't particularly like him, but I think he's too big a price at 15-1 in this race. I thought the 1 a little bit interesting as a chance to wire the field, but
I thought Chiringo a little interesting. We talked about the 8 with an outside. Shice 23-1.
I just couldn't take a horse coming off. The 8 we're talking about. That's what I meant. Right. Yeah, the 8's a little. Did I say 7? The 8's
we talked about this horse here. This is sort of really the interesting horse in the race because Runaway Jack, he's got a lot of races to figure here, but he's been gone since December of 23.
Not my cup of tea, but we'll see. The trainer won the last race, right?
Yeah, McLean Robertson.
His first win of the meet, probably.
Matt Dinnerman with the call. Race 7 from Oaklawn.
Goes it. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Another good beginning for all the runners. Attaché afterwards has to take up, and Attaché's last in the early stages. So an unexpected development there for the favorite, Attaché, who drops to the back. He'll have to pass him all today. They head down the backstretch. Bohemian Beau finds himself in front, 3/4 of a length ahead. Friar Lawrence runs in second. Echo again, the gray, makes his way a joint second. Major Blue is next. Two Eagles River gets shuffled back to 5th, and Chiringo joins him going into the forward turn. Attaché now second to last. Runaway Jack drops to the back while under pressure. Around the far turn they go. Bohemian Beau, the leader by a length and a tail. Echo again is in the second position. Completely giving way here is Friar Lawrence. He calls it a day. On the outside, making a big run is Chiringo from the back of the field, and he's unleashed on the outside here. Chiringo up to challenge Bohemian Beau as they come down the lane, and in the meantime, the favorite Attaché is still well out of it. Has 5 lengths to gain in the final furlong. Furlong left, and Chiringo has a head in front. Bohemian Beau to the inside, not going away, but Chiringo starts to inch clear, and it's going to be Chiringo. Walter de la Cruz coming to the line, opening up and winning by 4. Photo for second, Bohemian Beau, and Runaway Jack from far out of it really got rolling late and gallops out well too. Look for him next time. Attaché, no better than 4th.
Chiringo, dominant performance here. Walter de la Cruz aboard for Cipriano Contreras.
Good call by you, Greg. You kept telling me you liked this horse, and you were right. The horse ran very well. Bohemian Beau had a very good tactical advantage. Just wasn't good enough. Good ride, just not quite good enough. Obviously, the favorite had early trouble, which mitigated whatever chance he had. But how about the number 9, Runaway Jack? As the favorite started to get back in the race, he went by him like Runaway Jack was going to be eased. And all of a sudden, he came flying at the end. I know the race sort of fell apart, but he made some run to just miss second this race off a 13-plus month layoff.
Keep your eyes on him. Yeah, next time. He had a race, it was a long time ago, 2 starts ago, though, back in 23, that was borderline stakes quality.
Yeah, you know, I want to look more at this, but there's something funny about the times in 6-furlong race in Oaklawn. I understand the second quarter's around a turn, but I've been looking at a lot of 21 and 4s, 46 and changes, and it just seems like I'm wondering if some of those second quarter times are a little bit slower than they should be. I don't know if I'm the only one thinking this. Maybe if you agree with me or disagree, check it on Twitter.
Chiringo the win at Oaklawn. We got the nightcap coming up here in New York. Going to close things out with a one-turn mile. Non-winners of 3. Lifetime, the condition. Hey, Toby, Jeremiah Engelhart, Kendrick Carmouche. Co-favorite right now at 2-1 and drops in class, trying to get his 3rd career win. We'll be back.
Seize the Gray wins convincingly.
Seize the Gray. He's going to seize the day in the Pennsylvania Derby.
Seize the Gray is still there. Seize the Gray wins the Preakness.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Back on America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2. Program brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. We get set for the nightcap coming up here, and we're going to close things out with this one-turn mile. As we get a look at Sin Nombre, Francisco Martinez will hop aboard without a name. Translation, Andy.
Thank you, Greg. My day is fully complete right now. I really appreciate it.
7-5 favorite is Wake Surf. For Tom Morley, what do you think about the favorite here?
I think he's a horrible gamble. I think there's an argument he's the horse to beat. He's got a plethora of races that are way too fast for these, but he was claimed for 35. They moved him up, and he didn't run a step, and Manny Franco rode him every step of the way, and now he drops. Tom has good numbers. Morley dropping, second off the claim, dropping like this. But I don't trust this guy at all.
Here's Sin Nombre, 2-time winner from 18 starts.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem like he's fast enough. 6-1, I guess that's the field.
3-2 favorite. Next door we talked about.
He wakes up, remembers who he used to be. He's going to win, but his last race was very troublesome.
St. James, Heeman Harkey at 4-1.
I took a shot with this horse, dropping significantly. Does have some races good enough, but he has no speed.
Here's Kendrick Carmouche on Hey Toby at 5-2.
If you're against the 2, he's the logical alternative, as the bettors are agreeing with that as the controlling speed.
Lane Leslie on ice time. The blinkers go on.
Has had a lot of chances, and just another one that doesn't have any speed.
And A-lister on the outside, Christopher Elliott aboard.
He should be forward, probably in a stalking position, but I think he'll go backwards from there.
It does drop, and the last time in against Claiming Company was a winner. That was 16 non-winners of 2. Just tried way too tough a spot off that victory last start, so more realistic Company today as we head back down to Maggie.
Yeah, we'll start with your favorite. And here, do note that we had that late scratch of number 5, As You Chase Me, who was taking a lot of money early on. Some hoof packing that is not allowed at the races. He was sporting, so hence the late scratch in the paddock. But with regards to number 2, Wake Surf, last time out, he didn't lift a hoof. But I don't want to make excuses for him, but he is a horse that, having talked to Eric Cancel, who's ridden him before and is aboard today, he does not like being on the inside, and just that's where he was. Now, it's up to Eric to extricate him from that inside post, but he did give him a very big warm-up as he stretches back out to a mile. So sometimes these longer races allow a horse like him to find their way to their more comfortable position / a more comfortable stride and rhythm. Physically, he looks great. I just wish he was showing a little bit more energy, at least back in the paddock. Like I said, Eric doing his best to wake him up on track. Now, again, I land on the same horse as Andy. But St. James, number 4 in here, is a horse that I noted last time off the layoff looked tremendous, like better than I'd ever seen him, but it was a really tough spot, and it was off a long layoff where I just thought that he'd probably appreciate a start just to get a little bit more fit and defined, and he has, and now he drops in class. Unfortunately, feels like some speed has come out of here. So the next horse I'll get to looks to be the main speed provider. That doesn't help St. James's case, but again, I still really like what I'm seeing from this horse and is in a more reasonable spot. Now, the speed horse is number 6, you would have to think. That is Hey Toby, who is energetic, came into the paddock really on the muscle, ears forward the whole time, is having the same presence out on the racetrack as well, very animated stride to him, and just looks stronger than at other points when I've seen him throughout his career. I've seen him sparingly since he has run quite frequently up at Finger Lakes as of late, but doing all the things you want to see a horse doing that looks to be the main speed in here. Greg.
Post time coming up. Thank you, Maggie. 8-5. Wake Surf. 87 Beyer. 2 starts back. That race that seemingly no one else can come close to producing today. Obviously went completely backwards in the next start, cutting back to a sprint, but gets back to a mile where he produced that number.
It's an interesting question. Do you take him at 9-5 or the 6 at 9-5? If you're betting the 6, your assumption is the 2 can't run anymore. If you're betting on the 2, you're thinking he still can. Now, the problem is Tom Morley got aggressive with him off the claim. Not a problem with that. Maybe an owner's choice as well. He was so bad. Manny Franco rode this horse every step of the way. It's not as though Manny gave up on him. He did everything he could, and he just didn't run at all. Now, maybe it was an aberrant effort. Maybe getting a mile, he'll run better. But it's a little hard for me to endorse him off that, which is why I picked the 4, because I think Hey Toby can wire. I don't think that the 3 being an early scratch affected the pace of this race. The 6 was always going to be in front with the 8 and 3 probably chasing behind him. I don't love Hey Toby. I wouldn't bet him at 9-5, but he might be the right horse in here, especially like the 2. That's why I picked the 4. He has no speed, but I have some questions about whether or not the 4 can get the distance, which certainly helps bring the closers into the race.
And there's the 2 moving in. I mean, no question about it. Horrific performance last start.
Awful.
But pretty consistent horse before
no,
that,
I
right?
know. I mean, listen, maybe he had a bad day, and I don't mind the drop down. I mean, he claimed for 35. It's not like he claimed for 50, and now he's running for 25 right away. He was optimistic last time, or the owners were optimistic. They were wrong.
Back down to an easier spot. 8-5 choice. The 2 with Eric Cancel. Nightcap from Aqueduct. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
Stepping forward and in. All set. And they're off. A-Lister has early speed, so does Hey Toby, and Hey Toby and A-Lister, those 2 off together. Sin Hombre is towards the inside, is going to be a tracking 3rd, and joining them, that's Wake Surf in behind the leading group. It's the front 4, and they get set to come out of the chute, and now hook up with the backstretch, and they're chasing Hey Toby. Hey Toby with A-Lister. To the outside, Red Silks is Wake Surf and Sin Hombre. That's the leading quartet, and they are already about 9 lengths in front of the 2 trailers. St. James is at the back there with Ice Time. The leader is Hey Toby. Hey Toby is in front, is up by 3/4 of length through a 23-4 opening quarter mile. A-Lister continues to chase and 3 wide. Here's the run from Eric Cancel on Wake Surf. Sin Nombre is still patiently ridden here at the rail, is in 4th. Trying to make up some ground is St. James, who's still far back with Ice Time. Losing touch with the field, 47.46. That half-mile time, and they are well into the far turn. Hey Toby's been there throughout. Wake Surf continues to chase this leader. Dropping out of it there was A-Lister, is under a heavy ride, is back there in 3rd. Sin Nombre, no move yet. And making up some ground is St. James. St. James is starting to rally on, has a lot of ground to make up. Same can be said for Ice Time. Hey Toby is in front, a quarter mile left to go, is trying to shrug off the challenge from Wake Surf. Wake Surf continues to chase Hey Toby. Hey Toby just keeps on going up front, is back up by 2. Ice Time's right on the rail, is now running up into 3rd. Hey Toby is trying to put it away, less than a furlong. Wake Surf is trying to re-rally and catch this leader. Hey Toby is almost there. It's Hey Toby still with a comfortable margin. Hey Toby. Kendrick Carmouche with a riding triple. Hey Toby wins it over Wake Surf, Ice Time, and St. James in 1 minute 39 seconds flat.
3-win afternoon, as you heard from Chris Griffin. Hey Toby, Kendrick Carmouche, and 3rd career win for this 5-year-old.
Yeah, the 2 loomed like he was going to run, and he just not really that competitive anymore. Nobody made up any real ground. I guess the 7 Ice Time was running at the end. Even Archie tried to motivate St. James around the turn. He ran for about a furlong and had nothing in the stretch. Hey Toby, Kendrick, he got pressed a little more than I think you kind of wanted to, but it didn't matter. Still able to get the job done.
6-2-7-4 finish. And the man who kicked off this card with a win, Kendrick Carmouche, caps the 3-win afternoon. Gotta feel good. Starts the right way, ends the right way.
Won the first 2. Close it out with a win there as the second choice with Wake Surf.
5-year-old son of Alpha. Don't see a lot of Alphas.
No, you don't, for a reason. Alpha, dead heat winner, the Travers.
Yeah.
It's a golden
ticket for Ken McPeak, who was 33-1, I believe, that day.
Willy Wonka fans got rich. I've been the 3rd horse. There was a 3rd horse. Nick Zito was beating only a neck in that race. A huge price.
Don't remember if you don't win, do they?
Get his name.
Hey Toby, the win.
Second in the Jerkins race before, back then, yeah, King's Bishop.
10 Strike Racing Silks. Kendrick Carmouche, the big day. Jeremiah Engelhard Barn, the victory. And 9-5 on your winner. Again, 6-2-7-4 these prices. When we come back, more coming up, including the feature from Oaklawn. Don't go away. Three-win afternoon. Kendrick Carmouche, well done. Took the first 2 on the card. Takes the nightcap as well on Hey Toby, 5-year-old son of Alpha here for Jeremiah Engelhart and 10 Strike Racing.
Really felt like he was going to get swallowed up by Wake Surf, but he managed to hold him steady the whole way, despite the fact that he really took a lot more pressure than I think we reasonably thought he would have taken.
Yeah, look, this 2-horse Wake Surf tried to make a run.
He did. We just couldn't outfinish him.
Yeah, Toby's too good today against this group. So closes things out with a victory here with the drop down in class at 9-5. And fairly formful. His last pick 3, just under $50. We'll see what we get here in the pick 5.
Pick 6 paid almost $7,000.
Wow.
We really need to come up with the 7th winner.
$655 in the pick 5.
There you go. All right.
Meanwhile, those 2 big numbers that start off the cross-country pick 5.
Still pretty good.
Chiringo, yeah, 5-1 as well. And so, and we can't see Will Pace for this, right?
I think you can on the app. But I just had the numbers, I forget.
All right, 1 leg remaining. We'll get to that coming up. You out of here?
I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow.
We got a big Saturday, so
we do.
Rest up.
I will.
Whatever you need to do, get ready.
I will. I'm going to sleep on the train.
3 stakes races on the Saturday card. Maggie Wolfendale going to join me on the desk here as Andy steps away. We got more coming up, including the feature from Oaklawn. 6 minutes away from their 8th. When we come back, 6-furlong sprint ahead. Stay with us.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 55 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sire of yearlings in 2024. Curlin, the classic sire.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Olympiad leads American Revolution. Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
The Fasig-Tipton Kentucky Winter Mixed Sale. The last mixed sale before the start of the breeding season. Featuring racing broodmare prospects, yearlings, and mares in foal to their sport's top sires. Recent grads include multiple Grade 1 winner Adair Manor, graded stakes winners Fastest Flight, First Peace, Leave No Trace, Olivia Darling, and Running Bee. Kentucky Winter Mixed, February 3rd at Fasig-Tipton in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Back with you on our Friday coverage on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races, and that's where you can bet it all. Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Even while you're walking through Times Square, you can do it. With me, taking over for Andy Sterling. Good to see you, Maggie Wolfendale, out of the cold.
Yeah, it was actually pleasantly kind of damp today. Let's put it this way, Greg. I was a lot warmer coming in than I was yesterday, where my hands had literally lost feeling. I showed Bobby Klatt, one of our producers, I said, look at my fingers, and my pinky was completely white because I completely lost feeling.
It has warmed up a lot here
They're
lately.
all the same color today, so it's all good.
We like that blood flow moving through the body. Well done. We're going to get into this 8th race coming up next here at Oaklawn. Is competitive field here this afternoon. This race, I don't know, quite a few look like they could win this race. Certainly Bourbon Heist, who's taking money outside Steve Asmussen with his son Eric aboard. 5-2 favorite.
Definitely facing better company, I think, last time out. Deserved favorite.
We start with Eli's Promise making his 5-year-old return.
Yeah, coming in off of a bit of a layoff. There's a few races littered in there that make him a player, but not many.
Coming from the West Coast, El Rey Dorado off since September.
Yeah, a turn back in here. We'll see if the kind of surprise tactics and first time for Chris Hartman make a difference.
Thought this 3 was interesting, framing up nice.
Exactly, and looks to be could be the lone speed out there.
Macron, 4-time winner.
Yeah, second off of a layoff for John Horan. A decent return to the races last time.
This one been a popular claim of late, Mr. Bob.
Mr. Bob, great name, right? Formerly with Nick Zito. I remember him from Saratoga.
Midnight Pranks has Christian Torres.
Yeah, for a trainer, Ray Ashford, who's had some success, but not first time with this horse off the layoff.
And then the 2 Asmussen runners with his 2 boys aboard. Keith on Go West.
Kind of interesting. Older brother Keith has to ride the lesser fancied horse.
Yeah, Eric on Bourbon Heist, who is the top choice.
Yeah, and he's dropping to the lowest he's run for. And like I said, he's just run against better horses throughout the entirety of his career.
New face, but who's been in the game for quite a while. Mig has more on the rider of El Rey Dorado.
Yeah, Greg, Laron Delorme, he's ridden over 1,100 winners in his career. He is here at Oaklawn Park this winter, galloping horses for Chris Hartman, and he's given him an opportunity to ride. I was in the Jocks room earlier. I spoke with him. He seems like a very cool guy. From all accounts, I haven't seen him myself. He's a very good hand on a horse in the mornings. And this is horses making their first start for the Chris Hartman barn. We've seen a lot of the Ruiz Racing horses run extremely well making their first start for Chris Hartman. And it's always nice to see somebody get an opportunity. I like that a lot with the 2 El Rey Dorado. The 4-horse, Macron, making a nice impression. Really love the way this horse warmed up. And again, I've become a Tyler Bacon fan. I really like what I'm seeing from this young man. And then the 2 Asmussen runners, starting with Go West. Keith Asmussen, his older son, on. This horse was a handful. He tough in the post spray. They had to keep him going forward, moving. A horse that looks a bit tricky. And then Eric Asmussen gets the easier ride with Bourbon Heist from the outside, who was straightforward, a gentleman in the post parade, and certainly making a really nice impression. And I like that outside draw for him. I think he gets into the race the right way, guys.
All right, Mig, thank you. Yeah, rider of this 2. Dad, Chippewa Indian, mom, Sioux Indian. He actually grew up on a reservation.
Wow.
And he started riding a horse as soon as he learned how to walk. That's how he'd get around the reservation.
I watched a fascinating documentary about those Indian relay races on the plains somewhere the other day. And they literally are born horseback. It's so intertwined in the culture that horses are a massive part. And this horse looks fantastic on the racetrack, El Rey Dorado.
Yeah, it's the 2 at 7-1 who we're talking about. So yeah, intrigued to see this new face for us. But as Mig said, he's been around the game for a while.
Do you think Eric has to buy Keith dinner tonight? As Mick said,
Dad needs to share the love, and he's doing it here.
Exactly. How about that? I mean, you don't have to deal with any jocks agents. You just ride first call, right?
And we're talking about the 7 and 8 here. Is Dad Steve Asmussen just saying, look, I'm going to go with the Eclipse Award winner. He's hot right now. He just won the award. Eric's getting the big mounts.
Well, of course. Yeah, exactly. But, with Mig saying that the 7 a little bit more cantankerous to deal with, yeah, I'm sure Keith is like, Eric,
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Right?
14-1. What'd you think about, I know we're looking at the favorite here, but the 7 Go West, his chances to win?
Way back when, nearly 2 years ago, there were plenty of races, but we haven't seen it from him for Steve. That's not to say he can't find it yet again, but he's had plenty of opportunities, and now he's a 7-year-old, and you're often not going to suddenly get back to it at that point.
And I haven't met either of these 2 in person, but it just seemed like both of them just so well brought up. Just
it's
really
so intelligent.
Yes, and Eric, just his enthusiasm for just shines through when you talk to him.
He's always been that way. He'd come and every time they had a horse in at Saratoga, he'd come and talk to me, and it was always Miss Maggie.
I love it. Matt Dinnerman with the call. Here's the 8th from Oaklawn.
Here's Bourbon Heist. Going in, they backed away Eli's Promise. We're ready to go. And Larough. Good beginning. Mr. Bob sent for speed. Eli's Promise is quicker. El Rey Dorado joins the fun on the front end. Midnight Pranks right off of them. Mr. Bob claiming the third position from Midnight Pranks. Mia Comet running in the fifth position, 4 lengths off the lead. Then the Asmussen pair, Go West and Bourbon Heist. Mac Roan at the back with them as they head down the backstretch here. On the outside, El Rey Dorado strides forward to take a head lead. Eli's Promise to the inside right there and a little bit tight, and so is Mac Roan right behind him going into the turn. Mr. Bob is up to engage El Rey Dorado around the turn. Midnight Pranks is 3 deep, joining the fun as well. El Rey Dorado bowing out, back in the 4th position now. Bourbon Heist is making a rally on the far outside. He's coming with a run as they hit the quarter pole. Mr. Bob on the lead with Midnight Pranks and Bourbon Heist, who's right there. Bourbon Heist, grandstand side, has collared those early leaders and kicks on now. Bourbon Heist the leader here by 2. Mr. Bob giving way. Mac Roan on the outside, coming on with a furlong to go. Bourbon Heist still in front by 2.5. Mac Roan chasing hard. Bourbon Heist, 16th to go. He's got it. Bourbon Heist, 2 wins for Eric Asmussen today. Mac Roan was second. Mr. Bob, third home. And then Midnight Pranks.
Bourbon Heist and recent Eclipse Award winner as Outstanding Apprentice. Eric Asmussen riding for Dad on the favorite with the win.
Class prevailing here, Greg. He cruised up 3 to 4 wide around the turn and really, opened up and stretched. Mac Roan was making up some ground there late. A consistent type, but has to settle for second yet again.
9 to 5 in the end on your winner. 5-time winner here, the 6-year-old son of Practical Joke for Steve Asmussen, who owns this horse as well.
Yeah, both of the horses that he sent out in this one here. As we've always said, Steve is all in, right? He is live in the claim box. He will go in for a horse under his own name, put his own money up, and that's why we see him put up so many numbers year in and year
It's
out.
just, again, it's a stat. Look at how many runners he sent out last year.
Over 2,200. I mean, it's insane. Yeah.
Probably more than almost the rest of this entire colony of trainers at Oaklawn last year combined. Prices for this. When we come back, we're going to take a timeout. Road to that first Saturday in May. Pick it up again here in New York on Saturday. We'll have live coverage of the Withers. Omaha! Omaha! Back in our Friday coverage, America's Day of the Races here, Fox Sports 2. And it's Bourbon Heist. Clips Award winning apprentice rider Eric Asmussen for Dad. Here's Steve Asmussen on the favorite with a win.
And you can tell the admiration that Eric has for this horse too. And I think it's so imperative that riders get to know horses in the mornings, and one can certainly assume with a lot of confidence that Eric rides this horse in the morning, works him out, and so it just makes those wins that much more special. And like I said, gets class relief. Wonder if he got clean today for the 50.
Yeah, so we can find that out for you. $5.60 for the victory. Macron, Mr. Bob, second and third to complete that trifecta as the favorite with the win to close out this cross-country Pick 5. $6,469. Started with three fairly difficult ones to come up with. Certainly Wise Miss, very hard to find, I thought.
Very hard. I thought Just Clarity actually, a bigger price than maybe in hindsight he should have been, but hindsight's always 20/20, not here to red board or anything. But yeah, so you kicked it off with three decent payouts, and it always pays well this cross country Pick 5.
That was exceptional handicapping. If you put that together, well done.
Yeah.
We move into race 9. Allowance optional claiming 6 furlong sprint coming up, and it did look like the 3 and the 4. These are the ones to duke it out in this one coming up.
Yeah, Esternia looks to be the speed in here as well, whereas Titled Lady will. I knew I'd do that. I read her name, and I was gonna say I'm gonna call her Titled Lady. Or Tilted, rather. But anyway, I just feel like overall Esternia is probably the better horse with the tactical advantage.
All right, we'll see how it plays out. Let's get to our ABR race of the week.
Yeah,
Derby points on the road to that first Saturday in May. And the Withers mile and an eighth before we cut back to a mile here in New York in the Gotham. $250,000 purse. And love this name here, the son of Audible.
Your Peyton was so good.
Thank you.
Going to break.
I tried
well
my best.
Done.
Omaha here. We heard that all season long, that last season from Peyton. This horse, 2 back, impressive victory. And then second to Cyclone State in the Jerome to get some Derby points.
He was in another zip code going down the backside. He broke slow. That's just him, reading the advance that our press department put together. And the quotes from trainer Michael Gorham saying that he's never going to show that much speed. But sometimes, or it's always, I should say, mitigated when you're going longer distances. Now, he ran really well, much better than I thought he would in this Jerome, because I thought, he'd just be totally out-sprinted, and a one-turn mile wasn't in his wheelhouse because that was the first time he'd ever gone around one turn. So I actually really like him getting back to this 2-turn configuration. He could be a horse that's just getting better. Has a lot of turf pedigree on the bottom side. The dam, a full sister to Big Blue Kitten.
Ooh, yeah, big time turf.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, man who won this race last year with Uncle Heavy, who was such an impressive performance, overcoming the bias to win from off the pace that day. Butch Reed, we always know he comes with his horses in tip-top shape, ready to run their best. And Global Steve, now after 2 sprints at 7 furlongs, both wins, is going to go a mile and an eighth.
Now he's going to have to get faster, right, Greg? I don't know if you've looked at your speed figures, but on the buyers, he needs to get faster here. But what I liked when it comes to his last race, he got away slowly, then he got to the rail and rushed up. So it was almost like he ran 2 races in one and yet was still able to get the job done. So for me, with a horse stretching out from the 7/8 to the mile and an eighth, I think he'll be able to get that distance because he already showed that he has multiple moves within a race.
And I love the 2 sprint stretching out for the first time. Obviously, this barn, they always come ready to run.
They always do, and he just knows where to spot his horses, Butch Reed.
Global Steve, 6-1 morning line. Let's take a look at that road to that first Saturday in May and what's ahead. Holy Bull tomorrow. Robert B. Lewis with Bob Baffert, not only with the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner back, 2 other stablemates that look like they could give Citizen Bull a real run for his money.
Yeah, do you like Citizen Bull? I mean, he's not been flattered by gaming, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think there's big question marks. I actually think that, where did I put my past performances?
I'm sorry.
Another horse who its 2 sprints stretching out is the one who I'm kind of intrigued by, Madaket Road. But let's look at Citizen Bull, and here's that Breeders' Cup Juvenile win.
Yeah, where he got to control everything on the front end, and not like the track was particularly speed favorite. It's just East Avenue didn't break. He wasn't involved. No other horses showed up and ran. I mean, Chancellor McPatrick, you're not going to reinvent the wheel. He's a deep closer. But he got to waltz around. What'd they go? A second and a half slower than the fillies did, I think, for the first half mile. So I don't know if I trust him wholeheartedly here. And like I said, he has not been flattered by Gaming, throwing in 2 very disappointing efforts since this Breeders' Cup
Compromise trip, though, for Gaming last time out.
Yeah, but then you look at what happened with Sandman and even Patch Adams. They at least made a little bit of an effort down the lane where he had nothing.
See what we get in a return effort. It's just fun to have Bob Baffert back on the Derby trail. And again, not just Citizen Bull. It's got Madaket Road. It's got Rodriguez, who in just his second career start ran a faster number than Citizen Bull ever has in 4 career starts.
Right. I mean, he's the one with the upside, right? Son of Authentic. Obviously, Bob very well versed with those, one would think. But, he's the horse that you would have to think has that upside, has already passed a 2-turn question mark as well.
See what happens to Robert B. Lewis. Yeah, exciting. That's race 4 on the card, 3 of the 5 from the Bob Baffert barn.
He's going to be well represented at the Derby this year,
Yes,
I'd say.
he will. You think coming back with a vengeance. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. We have this 9th next in Oaklawn, about 15 minutes away from the feature on this Friday card. There's Esternia, Randy Morse, Christian Torres coming out of a stakes race. Last time out, 5.5 furlongs, and she is very quick early. Good speed to use. We'll be back.
History remembers moments of extraordinary strength, skill, and determination. True greatness is forged by those who fulfill their destiny.
They're coming down for the finish, and it is Silver State.
50-60, 250-60, now 60, 260 mark, 260,000.
Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Get into the game with Bond Racing Stable. When you partner with Bond Racing Stable, the Bond team does all the work and you enjoy the experience. As a partner, you can watch morning workouts, come to the paddock for saddling, and cheer your horse down the stretch. Bond Racing Stable offers more than 30 New York-bred weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds in a partnership program that gets you to the winner's circle. Whether on your own or with friends and family, make Bond Racing Stable your racing partners. Go to jamesbondracing.com today.
Big, impressive horse. Very masculine, lots of bone, big white blaze on his face, really catches your eye. Really good horse, gets grade 1 winning sprinters, gets turf horses, gets dirt horses. They can be 1 turn, 2 turns, long, short in between. Great commercial horse.
A leggy 2-year-old that surprised me at how quick he was, and he had a particularly strong gait workout prior to his debut, and we felt like, based on that he would run competitively in his first start, which obviously did.
Violence full out second, still getting closer, and Orb is now third. Titleton 5, and Violence getting up in the final yards.
And was able to come back in the Nashua and win that.
And it's Violence, a 2-length winner.
Close out his 2-year-old campaign with a Grade 1 win in the Hollywood Futurity.
Violence had his very promising racing career cut short, suffering an injury in the Fountain of Youth Stakes.
Horse is just really good-minded horse, very easy to train, kind of the professional type that trainers love to get. And I think he's shown his true quality as a stallion now, and it was unfortunate we felt like he was a serious Derby contender for us that year.
No other sire has had more Grade 1 winners in 2020 and #1 ranked 4th crop sire by lifetime earnings. The belief in Violence remains high.
We sold him as a yearling, bought him back as a stallion prospect, really respected horse. So again, we're hoping that he can continue to climb upward the ladder and go from a top 20 horse to top 10 horse.
Program brought to you by Hillendale at Alapa, which, oh my gosh, just got to visit this such beautiful grounds.
You've been?
No, I want to.
Oh, same. Take me with you.
Incredible. Post parade coming up shortly for this 9th race to feature as we look at Lorem Inn. Rafael Bejarano will ride on this 4-time winner, second back off a short time away.
Yeah, last time we saw her, it was on the synthetic for Anna Mia. We don't often see Anna and her barn shipping horses in here, so I thought it was an interesting, move to take this horse to Oaklawn to run on the dirt specifically. So an interesting player here.
There is the even money favorite, so Esternia for the Randy Morse barn. Speedy, 2-time winner, 3 runner-ups. And let's take a look back to November 28th when she just missed against Tanya Showers.
I mean, and watching her in the paddock, it looks as though she is sitting on tilt in here. Yes, she does like to play that game, catch me if you can, and I think she will be able to play that here. And this effort over a wet racetrack, a muddy Harold racetrack, she does have the propensity to want to carry her head quite high in the air. And I don't know if that's just mechanics, if that's just her or whatever. I'd love to see, you always like to see one when they hit that final cruising speed to kind of drop their head and level off. And that's something she just doesn't necessarily do, which I don't know if that is a problem for her today, but we'll see.
4 to 5. Price keeps getting shorter on Esternia. We got stakes action tomorrow from Tampa Bay Downs, and we'll have live coverage with Acacia Clement live on site as well. Tampa Bay Stakes. Part of that coverage, Grade 3 at a mile and 16th on the turf, and Running Bee will be lining up for Chad Brown, Flavien Prat, and this 6-year-old son of English Channel making his 6-year-old return.
Yeah, we haven't seen him since he took down the Artie Schiller. And I've always thought that a little less ground was preferable for Running Bee. Obviously, he has been accomplished at other distances, but it felt like early on last year, Chad kept trying to stretch him out, to get him, to cover those kind of marathon distances. But I don't think that's him. I think a mile to a mile and a 16th is his ideal trip. And with this barn, you are virtually guaranteed to know that they're going to be ready. Though last year, second narrowly in this, but wasn't coming off of a layoff, kind of had that prep race in the Fort Lauderdale coming in here.
7-time winner, 10 times 15 starts for Running Bee, been first or second.
It's a cool horse.
Majority of those wins, yeah, not bad, huh? And Pratt, seems like already he's on pace. I know we're early, but to break his stakes record performance from last year.
Yeah, and looking forward to him, obviously, up in Saratoga. And it feels like, I don't want to, make a rivalry when there isn't, but it's going to be kind of fun to watch him and Irad go head-to-head again for that.
I think it's just great. I mean, it took an insane year. I mean, it's incredible what he accomplished to unseat Irad Ortiz Jr., And I think it's going to even put we know how competitive he is. I don't know if there's anyone more competitive in the sport on the back of a horse. Probably going to push him even more to greater heights, which I don't even know if that's possible.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Isn't it? It's going to be fun because, as you said, there's nobody more competitive than Irad. And he, we see Flavien a little bit more stoic, and Irad, his emotions.
Steve Asmussen and Keith team up with the inside runner here, the two.
Just looks a little slow, but still could be a pace presence.
4 to 5 in Esternia.
Yeah, tactical advantage over a main rival right there.
I like this one. Titled Lady coming off back-to-back paired-up efforts for Mike Maker.
Okay, does she have a race fast enough in her?
Yes, she does. And
All
I think
right.
she moves forward today. We'll see. Dealing Justice 7-1, Harry Hernandez.
Yeah, I thought she, there was a time where she was actually pretty good. Can she get back to it? She's hinted at it here and there.
Laura Min, we had talked about. Rafael Bejarano.
Yeah, Anna Mia shipping this one in. A little bit of an intriguing player at 6-1.
And Peter Miller with a speedster outside.
Yeah, but lone dirt start at Los Al just collapsed in a heap, and that's often what you get when you have horses that prefer the turf. Once they come off the bridle, they cannot finish those races.
So 4-5 favorite. Esternia with more on this race coming up. The Friday feature. Let's go to Mig.
Yeah, guys, I'm so pleased to be joined with the winningest trainer in North American history, Steve Asmussen, somebody I count as a friend as well. And I rode with this guy, for people that don't know. Steve, you got Texas Women for Arts here, your son Keith aboard. What kind of trip would you like to see?
Well, she's a nice filly. Definitely has run well and competitive. Obviously a step up with the purse today. But hopefully she's away cleanly. Asteria's got a little more pace than she does. But make every step forward.
Now, you already had 2 wins on the card, both ridden by your son Eric. Now you have Keith here. How do you go about deciding who rides who?
We'll try to light a fire in him. Eric had a couple of winners today, and just ask Keith if he's going to keep up with him. It's pretty easy to inspire him. Both of them are excellent horsemen. Have spent a lot of time on horseback, know the horses extremely well, and do their best to put them in position to win.
That's a family tradition with the horses. Your family has become one of the most important, influential racing families in the history of the game. What was it like, especially the night of the Eclipse Award, to have your parents there when Eric got the Eclipse?
It was unbelievable. Just a very emotional evening to sit there with my parents, and we were talking about going to the Eclipse when Cash won it and when it was held, and just a tremendous moment, and Mom and Dad, just being the incredible horsemen that they are, have allowed us, me and Cash, to do what we've done, the support they've given us, as well as the horsemanship and the miles. There's just no substitute for it. And for Keith and Eric would not be in the position they're in if it wasn't for Dad and the farm, and the number of horses and the opportunity he gives them, and the guidance that, the direction that he put them in. And I just love how they continue to communicate. And, we've done it, you mention accolades, and just so blessed, but we've done it long enough to know how much more we need to get done. And nothing is better feeling than the whole family aiming in the same direction.
Honestly, I get a big kick out of watching it. I got emotional when they showed that video with Cash. What was that like for you?
Just like you said, it was just full circle, and just so proud of what my parents have established, and we all are doing all we can to make them proud.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Good luck here.
Thanks.
And guys, Cassius Musin revolutionized the way riders rode in Europe, and his brother's kind of rewriting history in North America as well.
It is incredible the impact, this family is having on the sport of horse racing. And not that he needed the motivation, the winningest trainer in the history of North America, and we talk about all the runners he sends out, but now he has that extra motivation trying to get wins for his 2 sons.
Yeah, exactly.
How much fun must that make it?
It really has to be for Steve. I don't know how Julie does it as a mother, watching your sons out there in what is, we're not calling a spade here. It is a dangerous sport at times to be a jockey, but we saw her in the winner's circle in the last race, and she is there in full support, and it has to be a lot of fun. I mean, until they give a bad ride, I suppose.
17-1. Keith got his work cut out for him on this long shot for Dad here, and got his work cut out, just facing Esternia the 3, and then this one as well. Titled Lady, Mike Maker barn, Flying Peace Silks showing up in Hot Springs.
Yeah, with Mike Maker, we saw them have a lot of success, obviously in Saratoga, but as well running at Churchill. Now, we'll see how they do here with Titled Lady. Maker horse is not causing too much of a ruckus there at Oaklawn, at least as of now, but she comes in here off the back of this win. it's fourth off of the layup, but it feels like more like third off the layup for this start here because the one back at Keeneland kind of, you throw it out. But as you pointed out, she could be trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see what happens here if she can really give this 4-5 favorite a run for her money. Let's go back to Mig.
Yeah, guys, I have a real hard time seeing past the favorite here, Esternia. She's dropping out of a much tougher spot. She has so much natural speed. I'm not seeing a lot of vulnerability as your short price favorite, but I guess if there's one scenario that you could see play out, it would be that the 9, Itzel, with Tyler Bacon, shows the kind of speed that she can at times, and they get ultra engaged and potentially set it up for somebody else. I do think that you want to be forward on this racetrack all day. The horses have not been making that deep close, right? They're at least in position. I don't think you need the lead, but I do think you want to be in the race. Even if she gets pressure, I just think Esternia might have a little bit too much class edge here.
Yeah, coming out of the poinsettia, third off a lengthy layoff, and maybe we'll get the best of her this afternoon, which could spell trouble for the rest of this field.
Well, as Mick pointed out, the way she does lose, though, is getting too much pace pressure, right? You would think that, as he pointed out, the 9 in here with the apprentice Tyler Bacon aboard, Itzel could apply pressure, and it's not like the other main player in here, at times can be forward in Titled Lady. So we'll see where Ramon Vasquez has her early on. Texas Women for Arts kind of hands force from that rail position. She has to be forward too.
I just don't know if they're as quick as this one.
No, they're not.
The 9
I'm
looks,
just saying,
yeah.
how can she?
Yeah.
The way she could lose is if many of them decide to really press her.
And certainly, Itzel, it's going to be interesting because it's got to be Send with the 9, right? That is
You put an apprentice on for that reason.
sprint
typically.
speed, yeah, with an apprentice. See how aggressive they get from that outside post. But there's the 4-5 favorite. She is the one to beat.
Looks great on the track too. Bigger type of filly. Looks as though she possesses a lot of good conditioning here for Randy Morse, who, when I'm out there, his horse is continuously impressed from the physical perspective.
Does that look like a racetrack that was canceled yesterday because of flash flood warnings?
It looks lovely out there.
It's really amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it does dry out rather quickly. And obviously having a tight seal on it, I'm sure throughout the day yesterday helps things.
What a difference a day makes. And again, that Thursday card that was canceled has been rescheduled to run on Monday coming up. We'll see what happens here in this 9th, and then race 10, by the way.
Archiebreds, a lot of first-time starters.
Absolutely no idea.
I was looking through some of the pedigrees, and it's interesting. Randy Morse, for instance, he'll send out first-time starter Pops Reward, who is a daughter of Maximus Mischief, who we saw have an impact here with his freshman crop in New York with the horses that he sired. So, and then Morally Complex, I thought had a decent pedigree with a couple multiple winners as well on the bottom side. Complexity good with his first-time starter. So, yeah, an interesting field, a lot of unknown entities in there.
So that one's still to come. First things first here, this Friday feature, Esternia. Odds on, and there she is about to load up in those red silks. Christian Torres, barn of Randy Morse. Third start, back off the bench. That's her main competition right next door. Titled Lady for the Mike Maker barn. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call. Here's the 9th from Oaklawn.
Two back, lure him in. Into the outside post, Itzel. Here's Itzel. We're ready to go. And we're off. Itzel broke the best from the far outside post. Esternia sent hard. Titled Lady in the middle of that pair. It's Esternia with a head lead now on Titled Lady. Itzel is taking back to press the pace down the back stretch, dealing justice in the 4th position within 5 lengths of the lead, a length and a half back to Luriman and Texas Women for Arts at the back. They head down the back stretch, and the top two get acquainted here. Esternia inside of Itzel, and they open up on the rest of the group. They streak clear about 3 lengths from Titled Lady, who races alone. Gap of 5 5 to Dealing Justice, pushed upon with Luramin, also sent along, and Texas Women for Arts is at the back as they round the far turn. 21 and 4/5 seconds, so they're rolling on the front end here. Esternia with a nose in front of Itzel. Titled Lady with no excuses, got a breather on the far turn and tries to come on again at the top of the lane. Itzel trying to hang around with Esternia. Titled Lady grandstand side in with a shot. They're down the stretch. Esternia putting away Itzel. Now she's got to deal with Titled Lady on the outside, who's grinding away. Titled Lady inside Esternia are head and head. Dealing Justice coming on late. 16th to go. Titled Lady Esternia. Dealing Justice third. Not going to get there. 2-horse battle coming to the finish. And Titled Lady on the outside got it. Titled Lady over Esternia. Dealing Justice in Texas Women for Arts.
Titled Lady wears down a favorite that got bet down to 3-5 in the end, and Titled Lady certainly got the setup here.
I know when you're 3-5, you should get the job done. But Esternia, you gotta feel a little bad for her because she took pressure every inch of this race. A little bit of a breather for that second quarter, but very quick opening quarter mile, and Titled Lady just sat back, watched it unfold, and she did need every inch of the stretch to get up by the wire.
Well, we expected Itzel to go and press things, and she did, and that probably weakened up this favorite a little bit for this stretch battle with Titled Lady, who looked like she was going to provide a battle down the stretch, and she does, and just able to get by, 3-5 favorite. I don't think loses anything in feet here.
No, ran really, really well. Like I said, that was going to be her Achilles heel, is, somebody going with her. And as we predicted, Itzel provided that pressure. And you could see, number 4, Titled Lady, wanted to linger on that inside lead. And once she finally switched over to her outside right lead, she really leveled off. And that provided her with that late energy to seal the deal in the shadow of the wire.
So Titled Lady, Flying P Stable, Mike Makerbarn, Ramon Vasquez with the win here at 5-2, beating a 3-5 favorite with the assist from Itzel, who pressured the big favorite early on the front end. But these Silks we saw have just a sensational summer at Saratoga. Win here in Hot Springs. 6th career win for this 5-year-old mare. Well, the prices set up the nightcap when we come back. Back with you on our Friday coverage on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you by NYRA Bets, where you can play it all. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. We just saw Titled Lady eventually wear down and get by the odds-on favorite Esternia after getting a nice little setup here as Esternia was pressured by this speedster Itzel throughout most of the race.
And the band's back together here, much of like we saw in Saratoga with Flying P, Mike Maker, and even Ramon Vasquez. Back to the winner's circle at Oaklawn. Yeah, we'll see Titled Lady here lingering on that inside lead. When she switches right there, she kind of gets back in gear and is able to run down an incredibly stubborn and hard-fought defeat, I should say, here from Esternia. So, like you said, losing nothing in defeat, but Titled Lady got the setup, got the win as your second choice.
$7.60 for the win. Yeah, Esternia did not want to give that up, did she?
No.
That was a gritty effort. Just misses, though, in the end. And the victory to Titled Lady. This nightcap we talked about briefly. Arkansas bred runners. $50,000 maiden claiming races. They all look for that first win on the resume. 6 furlong sprints. And as we expected, the board reflects wide open race. It's the 11 first-time starter who's favored at 7-2.
Yeah, it's morally complex here. Harry Hernandez aboard for Abel Ramirez Rodriguez. And like I said, before, complexity, a great influence. And this dam has produced several horses who have had long careers, multiple winners, including a 14-time winner by the name of Uppo? I'm not really sure how to say that. But, a pedigree at this level with these Arkansas breds that says can get the job done first time out.
All right, we'll get a look at the field coming up as well here from Mig for this nightcap, too. We're going to take a timeout. We'll look ahead to not just the Withers on Saturday, 3 stakes, including the Toboggan. This might be the best race on the card. Coastal Mission proved late last year he could win big ones on this circuit. Grade 3 winner with a 49er. 14 wins overall for this millionaire. And he had the Toboggan on Saturday. Stay with us.
How magnificent was Full Count Felicia. Never in doubt.
Coming down to the finish. First World War. Fort Washington on the outside. They're coming down to the line, and Goliad does it.
Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With NYRA Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with NYRA Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NYRABets.com.
The only colt ever to win 3 one-mile Grade 1s on dirt. Ran the fastest buyer of the year. That's him, 6 wide, streaking clear.
Here comes Cody's
2 more Grade 1s at 7/8. Here's his forego, also running a 112 bite. That's 5 Grade 1s all told. No other son of Sire of Sires Curlin has so many. They say, be careful what you wish for. We agree.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Racing in the Toboggan. And Kazoo came flying out of the gate and goes right out to lead them early. They're into the stretch, and Kazoo is in front. Bishop Courthill all out to stick with him. And now here comes Wild Jam on the outside. But Kazoo's got something left in the tank, and he quickly opens up 4. Bishop Courthill and Wild Jam chasing him home. Then High Blitz. It is Kazoo and Richard Migliori to win it by 3.5 lengths.
He always loved to say Mig's name. Tom Durkin, Richard Migliori. Mig putting this horse on the front end and using that speed of Kazoo. 107 Beyer, gate-to-wire dominant score in the 2006 toboggan. What do you think of that form on horseback?
He looks fantastic. He hasn't, I'm sure he could go back out there and still do it. Good.
What do you remember about that win on Kazoo, Mig? It was over early, wasn't it?
Well, he was a horse that was better going faster than slower. He wouldn't change gears. If you went a little too slow the first quarter and horses were on him, he would not finish. So I used to let him rock and roll. And a little call back to my quarter horse days with Dennis Bryder, the way I sent him out of the gate. And guys, if you didn't know, that was my 6th toboggan win. But all kidding aside, it was a race that always meant a lot to me. It was the first stakes race that I ever saw. I told my father on the subway home that night I was going to be a jockey and win the toboggan, and had a lot of luck in it over the years. And I was definitely getting Miggy with it, though, no?
No question you were getting Miggy with it. We apologize. We should have had that graphic made of all your toboggan victories. And I'm not even kidding, because I know how important that race is to him.
I love
and
that
he
story.
told his dad that he would one day win that race. So it is an incredibly important race for the Mig, and the fact he had so much success in that is it's a great story.
It really is so cool. And it's so Mig, too, right? I mean, Richie embodies New York racing. So for him to win that race, the toboggan, a race that is here, it's a stalwart of Aqueduct, much like him.
Indeed, yeah. Brooklynite.
Yep.
Showing up at a big Brooklyn race, or next door to Brooklyn anyway, here in Queens. Toboggan. This year's edition, I don't think we have any Kazoos that are going to try and steal it like he did. But we do have Coastal Mission, who we talked about, who was a Grade 3 winner here back in late October and is a millionaire.
It doesn't really show up like on his recent form, but you look at this horse's record at 7 furlongs, and granted, I'm sure a lot came in his hometown of West Virginia around the 2 turns of Charlestown, but he's 7 for 10. And this is a horse that, as we were talking about, you and Andy were talking about post time, showing up and dancing every dance. So has Coastal Mission. I think he commands respect in here. And like you said, I don't know if if there's an abundance of speed to get the setup, but he doesn't really need it. He can put himself wherever he needs to be.
Yeah, he's a handy horse. No question. Yeah, 7 for 10 at this 7/8. He is 5-2 morning line favorite in this spot. Meanwhile, Gravesend Maximus Meridius will have the inside post. Butch Reed comes off that Gravesend victory on a wet track, going 6 furlongs.
And he was the one on the inside kind of taking a lot of pressure. Now, I think the argument can be made that versus the runner-up, Full Moon Madness, who ran the better race as Full Moon Madness, didn't get away as alertly and had to kind of rush up into contention there, whereas Maximus Meridius got there from the get-go. But I thought he was awfully game, battling down on the inside, taking a lot of pressure throughout, running son of a gun while he was the beaten favorite. Took a little while to kind of get in stride and to get going, and wasn't clear for the majority of the stretch. So we'll see. I'm glad that all of these horses are coming back, those top 3 finishers, and running in tomorrow's toboggan.
And look, Castle Chaos.
Do you like this horse?
I thought this horse was going to break through and become a really, really good horse and a graded stakes winner. It's just he was sort of on the cusp, but he just did not break through. But he's very good.
He is. Does the layoff concern me a bit? Rob Falcone, his trainer and part owner, saying that he grabbed his quarter really badly at Saratoga, took a while to heal, bringing him back, needed a vacation. He is a horse that does run well here at Aqueduct, running second here to post time. He probably had the better trip relative to post time on that particular day. There's people that like him. I don't really get it, and the horses that have recency, I do prefer.
Looking forward to a terrific race. I know we got that race on the road to that first Saturday in May. This race is loaded, though.
Yeah, looking for, because again, there's a reason to like many of the players in here. So I am looking forward to seeing Coastal Mission. I think he could be just the best horse in there.
Stakes action, 3 of them on the card on Saturday. Ruthless early on. Toboggan and Withers, we hope you join us tomorrow. We start out on FS1, 12 Eastern start time, then 2 to 5 on FS2. As for the Ruthless, race 3 on the card at 7 furlongs for 3-year-old fillies. And Moonlit Drive, we'll see how good she is. With the pedigree, I was surprised she went off that huge number first time out.
Well, how about the siblings both participating in stakes races as we were just talking about, with her brother in here running in the Toboggan in Full Moon Madness. But I agree with you, not taking much money, but for Michelle Nevin, who doesn't often win first time out. Now, she's going to show a little bit of greenness here, finishing up on a wrong lead until she switches right there. But, Greg, I love the fact that she had to go and get this horse. She did it. She did it at 7/8, which isn't always, she did it at 6, which, stepping out to the 7/8 feels like a natural progression, seeming like she just started getting going. And because Michelle Nevin isn't a trainer that cranks her horses up for their debuts, you would have to think that there is another step forward in her.
All right, that's coming up, race 3, 1:42 Eastern time. Hollywood Beauty, going to be right next door to the outside, coming off a stakes win on a wet track at Parks at the end of 2024. Can that form translate here?
Yeah, I think there's 2 ways to look at this horse, right? Did she just freak in the slop at Parks? It did feel like a track that, was kind to early front runners, or because it was, a later race than what she was running back at Monmouth and Parks and the Mid-Atlantic before that. But she only has one other dirt sprint to her resume over a fast track. It was her debut, but that was back in June. So there's every reason to believe that this filly has gotten better. Of course, she'll have to bring it to New York.
Winning, you're in. Tough read here. It just seems like the form has kind of tailed off a little bit. What do you think?
I think the competition has caught up with her. She was dreadful in the Gasparilla. She had dead aim on the leader, who out-battled her for a second place honors while the winner came from well back. She didn't switch leads. She shortened stride. Now they put the blinkers on. Could she be a pace presence? Absolutely. Does that make her any better? I don't know here. I think she's just plateaued, if not gone the wrong way now as a 3-year-old.
Still 6-5 on Moonlit Drive off a maiden win that was not that fast.
I agree. You're kind of taking the worst of it, right? Because she was nearly 17-1 last time, and now she's 6-5. I do agree there, but how can you not love her pedigree?
Love the pedigree. I love the pedigree first time out. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun to see what she can do. That's coming up again early on, 1:42 Eastern time. 3 stakes on that Saturday coverage with us. So be sure and join us on Saturday as we get back to this Arkansas-bred maiden claiming event to close things out on this Friday coverage. So we'll get a look at this field and favoritism. We expect it probably to swap all over the place, and it has right now to the one Aloha Baby, who's the experience of the field.
Yeah, she's the experience of the field, has that lone 59 buyer last year. And as we often talk about, these Arkansas-bred races, because you're dealing with such a smaller, full crop size, these newly turned 3-year-olds, and many of them not technically even 3 yet, have to run against older company. And for that, I always feel like they're at a disadvantage.
Coming onto the track, approaching the 8-minute mark to post for this finale.
And Aloha Baby, it's her first time dropping. She's 5, and she's second off of a layoff here as well for Dwayne Loy.
Those are not great. So 5-year-old starting to become, it's a lot of opportunities trying to make the maiden, but dropping a bunch of first-time starters, this might just be the right field.
Exactly, and like I said, a bunch of younger horses too, where maybe it's a good thing to be a 5-year-old maiden. It's not like she has that many starts under her belt. She's only 0 for 6.
We're going to look at here in just a moment. Plenty of first timers to get a look at too, and a couple at least showed some speed against better company.
Right.
You're going to be dropping in class in this field.
Yeah, exactly. Such as Golden Edge did stop very badly that day and was nearly 50-1. Look, LA Diamond, she just kind of ran evenly. But it was a muddy sealed racetrack. Now she gets to try a fast track. So I respect the job that Greg Compton does. There's every reason to believe that she could improve, and Christian Torres does stick.
12 horse showed some speed off the layoff and then just tired late against a better field probably too. Did you seem to think, well, we'll talk about it more in a minute. Here's the one, Aloha Baby. Walter De La Cruz still favored at 7-2.
She looks thrilled. Just looks very quiet out there. But again, it definitely has a resume with the drop in class to make her a player.
She's been there, done that.
Yeah,
she's chill.
I'm over it.
First-time starter for Ron Moquett.
Yeah, it has a decent dam side pedigree, half to one Ted Stadium, Stakes Place, Arkansas bred.
Closed at gate, debuts.
Cutting Humor, ever heard of that, sire?
I have not.
Yep. I don't think we'll hear much from Closed to Gate.
Paris Accord, Travis Wales aboard, second-timer.
Look,
Took some money against better.
Agreed. And actually didn't run that badly. Respect the job that Ernie Witt does.
Here's the one who showed speed against a better field in the debut, but completely backed up.
Can she keep it going here? Again, a 3-year-old facing some older running mates here.
Grismo.
I thought this was interesting. Has dirt pedigree. Buy Mo for the money against Open Company at Louisiana Downs first time out.
Yeah, that was on grass at debut. Stefan again, the seventh first-timer.
Stefan Oatsy. Haven't seen his name in a while in the forum.
LA Diamond start number 2, Greg Compton barn.
Yeah, again, could definitely take a step forward, dropping in class with Christian Torres.
Here's a Maximus Mischief first-timer for Randy Morse, the 9.
Yeah, and like what I've seen from the Maximus Mischiefs, although not guaranteed with his first-time starters.
Lindsey Schultz, second-timer, getting play.
Yeah, with Kiamichi here. So, again, ran okay. Didn't show that much, but did have some traffic trouble.
First time started by Complexity, Morally Complex.
Yeah, this guy taking money early on. Still 5-1, so could be live here.
And it's pretty gray on the outside here. Showed speed, backed up against better off a long time away last start.
Aurora Gee, second start of her career was her best. Could that be history repeating itself? Second off the bench here.
7-1.
She was beaten by Aloha Baby in that race, though.
By who?
She was beaten by Aloha Baby in that race where she ran her
right.
best effort to date.
But
back in February of last year.
Time to grow up.
Yep.
Gets easier.
Was a 3-year-old at that point.
Interesting in this spot.
Agreed.
It's a tough race. I mean, so I was going to ask you that state-bred maiden special to state maiden 50. Is it much of a drop?
I don't think it is there. Here, 100%. Like in state-bred New York breds, just because we have a bigger full crop size, we outsource a lot to Kentucky sires, so you get those bigger pedigrees. So I think it is truly a big separation between maiden special weight runners and maiden claimers here. But in Arkansas, with Arkansas breds, not so much, because you just are dealing with a smaller sample size.
4 minutes to post in this finale coming up, and impact on the Triple Crown Trail, and maybe an intriguing first-timer in this one coming up. Let's go to Mig for more.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. And so pleased to be joined by Ron Moquett. And Mazern, first-time starter here, Ron. You've trained the siblings, though. Do you see any similarities?
Yeah, they've all act like they have some ability and a little bit of courage. I think that today, coming in with all the weather and stuff, a 3-year-old versus horses that's 4- and 5-year-old that's ran a bunch, she's at a disadvantage. But she's got a good way of moving, and she's meant to run well. I don't know if her experience will allow her to win or not, but I hope she shows something.
And now the Arkansas breeding program is just so strong. I mean, it kind of pays to have an Arkansas bred, doesn't it?
It does if you've got a good one. And, the fun thing is that the fans are betting on them. Unlike in earlier times of the Arkansas breds, I've seen several days where the Arkansas breds were some of the most contentious bet races on the whole card. So that's a tribute to the fact that everyone's breeding better horses.
Well, you put up the kind of purses that Oakland's putting up. It's a large incentive. Now, last weekend, big win. Speed King overcame the outside post, did it rather nicely. How did he come out of the race?
Very happy. happy. I was very pleased for a guy that's wanting to win these kind of races and keep moving forward. I couldn't be happier with what he did and how he did it and how he came back.
I was by the barn this morning. I missed you, but he looked great. He looks bright. What does it do for the morale of a barn to have a colt like this on the Derby Trail?
Well, for our barn, because we don't have those kind just sift through every year, it's a big thing. We got a level of excitement when we win a maiden special weight. So let alone whenever we win these kind of races and those kind of purses, it's an injection of energy throughout the whole organization.
Do you have an idea now where you're going to go next? Have you made a decision?
Not 100%. I hate to be a cliche, but it's true. I'm going to let him tell me, and I would definitely want to run in the Arkansas Derby, and am looking at whether or not if we think that running in the Rebel will help us perform well in the Derby, or if it could be something that would cost us a performance. Well, we're just going to let him tell us if he could do both.
Ron, thank you so much for taking the time. And guys, another one of the many people that have been so warm, welcoming, and helpful here. Ron actually hooked me up to get my hair cut.
And we know how important that is to Mig. The hair's got to look good. It does look good, by the way. So, Ron Moquett, well done there.
He was stressing big time.
He was worried about it.
I'm
glad he's found a spot.
Yes.
Going into that race, it's the son of Volatile, who's a sprinter. You don't initially think Volatile stretching out is going to make an impact with his horses. Speed King looked very good doing it, didn't he?
He did, and looking at him, Greg, he's actually a horse that does have a lot of scope and length to his frame, where I was on the positive end of the spectrum for him, stretching out and getting the distance. And, reading the pre-race quotes from Ron saying that he thought as though he was looking at the infield board and that, that speed wasn't good that particular night at Remington. And when I watched the replay back a couple times of that Springboard Mile, you can actually see him looking at it because his head comes up and it's just, he's not really truly settling into his stride. And that was not the case in the Southwest. So, it's fun. It's fun to have these, somewhat lower profile connections on the Derby Trail. Not that I necessarily think Ron is, because he's had several
Lonnie
nice
Briley
horses.
too, with Cole Battle, another one.
Springboard Mile, key race.
And look, Ron Moquett, he had another, tells you how much things can change quickly. He had another Derby contender a few years back. That horse named Whitmore became one of the best sprinters in the country as we go back to Mig.
Whitmore pretty good. And, of course, Ron is stabled in the Whitmore barn. I was out this morning looking around, and I said, well, he's got to be in the Whitmore barn, and he was, for sure. His horse looks really good here in Mazarn. This is a homebred for William Sparks, who has campaigned the family. But all of the siblings have been better with a race under their belt. So, and it is a tough task for a 3-year-old to take on older horses this time of year. It's just kind of early in the year. Kind of curious to get Maggie your take on that, your opinion on that. The 3, another first-time starter, not taking any money, but just wanted to say hello to the owner, Thomas Conklin. No, he couldn't make it here today. Has some health issues, but a owner that's been coming to Oaklawn Park for about 45 years, and you need people like that with that kind of passion in the game. First-time starter that kind of checks the boxes for me and where I would land is the 11, morally complex, daughter of complexity, nice works, taking money. That's always significant with a first-time starter. One thing that I find a little bit of a negative, I'm a big fan of when horses have had their gate work done, put to bed, and then they have a couple of maintenance moves off of the pole, meaning a run-up start in the mornings. So Maury Complex, though, is coming in off of 3 gate works in a row. Now, is that just the trainer's style, or is that because Morally Complex has not been as quick as they would have liked out of the gate and took her longer to get okayed? That I don't know, because I'm not as familiar with the connections, but they do win at a high percentage, a very high percentage. And this horse is taking serious money. It's 7-2 now, guys. Certainly a horse you got to pay attention to.
Yeah, first-time starter that, no question, you got to pay attention to that board. As we have post time here coming up. Of these first-timers, who intrigued you the most?
Yes, that horse.
It was that one?
Based upon pedigrees, as well as number 9 in here, Pop's Reward, who is sitting at 6-1. But, as Mick said, and as I said earlier, it's just really tough for these newly turned, in quotations, 3-year-olds to face these older horses. No other maiden special weights or maiden claimers for other horses, open company, or even any state breds here, the 3-year-olds aren't having to run with older company yet.
Incredibly early time in the year for
Yeah.
3-year-olds to face, older company. Favorite, Aloha Baby from the inside. Nightcap here from Oakland. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
Morley Complex walking up to the starting gate. Paris Accord's gone in. Golden Edge, post 5. 2 back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a delay into the running of this race. Number 7, Stefan again, acting up in the gate. We're going to have a delay here. Stand by.
All right, so you heard track announcer Matt Dinnerman. Scary situation whenever there's a horse with an issue in the gate. Got to be extra cautious and make sure that horse's safety is okay and get them squared away. Hopefully that's the case here.
I do believe is Stefan again.
Okay, the 7.
I think because we saw the 8 come out in here, and it looks as though she has gotten herself down and turned around in the gate. Obviously, our eyes on the scene can give us a better view in that stretch.
Yeah, let's go to Mig.
Yeah, guys, the 7, Stefan again, is a late scratch. And what's imperative when a horse, gets themselves pinned in the gate or turns over, rears up and falls over backwards, to get the horses immediately around them out of the starting gate, because horses will panic, they thrash, and then you run the risk of kicking the horses in the stalls adjacent to them. So the gate crew reacting very quickly here, back the other horses out. There will be a delay, but the 7, Stefan again, is a late scratch.
All right, so in the meantime, holding pattern here while they square things away with the 7 who's coming out. And we've not really gotten a look at the gate, so I wonder if they're still working there.
I would have to say, and from what I could see on the TV screen, it looked as though she had gone up and turned herself around. And that's usually when, as Meg said, you have to take everybody out of the gate. You then have to make sure you extricate her safely, and usually that requires you opening both sides of the gate, the front and back of it, so they can get her out, and that she doesn't panic, she doesn't thrash. So yeah, everybody else has linked back up with their lead ponies. And from what I can tell, everybody's behaving fairly well out there on the racetrack, as they tend to Stefan again.
And look, we say it a lot, especially with the crew we have here, because it's probably as good as there is in the business, if not the best here in New York. These starting gate crews just constantly, they are always in harm's way, and just tremendous job that they do to make these races go off.
And the guys out there at Oakland, from the weekends I have spent out there, they hustle, man. They work really hard. A lot of them running back and forth, and because the gate obviously has to move a lot. You have your 6 furlong start, and then you have your stretch starts at a mile and a 16th, mile and an 1/8. So they are really working very hard, and our respect goes out to them, because they have to protect the horses, they have to protect the riders in that very confined spot. And with a full field like we've had here, there is a lot going on generally.
Yeah, we talk about riders too, which are usually, they're pretty much never 100%. They're always riding with some little knick-knack or injury. There's probably not a starting gate crew member who is not always playing injured either.
Just even like your hands, for instance. You have a horse that's constantly jerking on you, or your shoulders, and how you have to, and generally these are bigger guys, and they have to wedge themselves into that small space on the partition there, and kind of be as invisible and small as they possibly can to ensure these horses feel comfortable and yet get away cleanly.
Our hats off, and did a great job here getting Stefan again out of the gate, hopefully back to the barn A-OK. Late scratch here. They've gotten that 7 off the board, reloading, as you can see, and it's Aloha Baby as we redo this load from the inside. The experience, this 5-year-old mare, making career start number 7, the one to beat, and has the best races really of anyone at this point, but obviously there's more upside with some others. But we'll see if she can get the job done here with Walter De La Cruz. Back to Matt Dinnerman here for the nightcap.
Morally Complex goes it. To the outside post, Aurora G. 10 races tomorrow. We'll see you then. For now, enjoy the nightcap. We're ready to go. And they're off. Pop's Reward was slow to go out of the gate. In the middle of the field, LA Diamonds up on the lead with Mazarn, who's got early speed in the career debut. Aloha Baby in the mix as well. So is Morally Complex and Grismo. They're sorting themselves out on the lead, and there is a 4-way go. Now make it 5 on the lead here. Let's get to all of them. Morally Complex on the outside. Inside is LA Diamond. Aloha Baby's there. Mazarn was up close briefly, backs away. Going into the far turn, Grismo is next in a compact field. Golden Edge is next. Pop's Reward caught deep within 4 lengths of the lead. There's a gap of 2 to Kiamichi, who's second to last. Paris Accord is last, and actually there's one really far behind. Close that gate, who's detached from the others as they round the far turn here. Coming back to the lead, Morally Complex finds herself in front. Aurora G right there to the outside, and these two hook up as they come off the corner here. Morally Complex on the inside, Aurora G the gray right there outside. They're going at it with 3/16 to go. Aurora G, grandstand side, has the head lead of Morally Complex, the first-time starter, running well on debut, but Aurora G has too much horse. Pushes past, opens up 2, now it's 3. Kiamichi coming on for third, might get up into second, but she will not catch the winner, and the winner is Aurora G under Louis Q in the nightcap. Morally Complex holds off. Kiamichi for second, and fourth was Paris Accord in the nightcap.
9-2, Aurora G takes this finale on the Friday card.
And she ran very well, but you can see that size disparity between the 4-year-old and the 3-year-old. They just have an advantage.
Prices you can find at NYRA Bets. Again, we're back tomorrow, 12 Eastern. Start time on FS1 on 12 to 2, and then over at 2 to 5 on FS2. So we've got a full day of coverage on Saturday afternoon with 3 stakes here in New York. Hope you join us. It was just clarity in the 7th at Aqueduct with the upset score. Meanwhile, Titled Lady got an assist from the other speed to wear down Esternia, just able to get by her in the stretch in the Friday feature from Hot Springs. And back on the Derby Road on Saturday here in New York, can Captain Cook deliver in the Withers? We will see you tomorrow.